Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, tonight the League of Ordinary Gentlemen proudly bring to you the Fantasy Football 5. Introducing Balls to the Wall, Brian Roberts.
You know it.
Quick wit, slow feet, Ryan Robertson.
Here we go.
Jake, Coach Ruth.
Not Chief.
And JT, the commish.
Yay!
I say, how we doing, boys?
Shut up.
Huh?
What'd
you say?
I said
What? I wasn't ready for that. Usually you're where I go to for like positivity. I don't know why.
Not this week.
Not that
You called me fat and sassy earlier. You called me fat and sassy and stuff and all hot and bothered.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Now I'm gonna
all right.
stress eat later, that's all I'm saying.
I know we didn't plan for this. Maybe I'm going a little off script, but I've been watching a lot of Impractical Jokers. I've been trying to figure out. All right, so like if us four were them, who would each of us be? And
Joe.
Yeah,
Joey Gatz over here.
I do think you would be Joe. I
just get to eat pastries
Who
while
would
y'all
Jake
are out
be?
there.
I got an idea.
I always get the same one told to me, so I'm not even.
I got an idea in my mind. I want to see what y'all say.
Say Jake would be Murr.
Okay, that's what exactly what I said. I said Murr. So that leaves me and Brian as the last two. So who are me and Brian?
Brian does the best gay voice.
I say Brian will be Sal and you'd be Q.
Okay. I can live with that. Yeah. I'm all right.
Firefighter.
Except
firefighters.
for Brian doesn't get like grossed out the same way about stuff. Like you get really particular about some stuff where you really hate it. Sarah talking about using the bathroom, it really pisses you off. Like,
It did.
This was like a couple of months ago it happened and you got really mad.
What's the past though?
It's the past.
You gotta bury that.
All right. So
or you teach it.
Do you teach it?
History.
It's called
The past.
Class. Teach history.
If you don't teach it, you're
Who
doing
does?
your
Who
best.
does?
I don't know.
You do.
Don Juan Turner did.
I do sometimes.
It depends.
Usually, if I'm just I'm gonna be honest. Most of the time, I'm just working on my comedy routine.
I was like,
what's the difference?
It's going pretty good.
Let's see. Here's some of your material.
I mean,
I know
Uh,
you're on my stutter.
I know you got a bag of impressions over there.
All right. Hey, everybody. No, I'm just picking.
God, you kind of retire that. It's time to retire that, boy.
Like Udalati? Is it joined in it?
Huh?
Is it joined in Udalati?
Oh no, Lottie went out on a high note. People still ask for it.
I do still ask for that. All right, so we got some action
Like
going on this
pumping
week.
Got some action.
We do have some action going on this week, boys. We got some trades that have went down.
It's going on for real.
Let's see. So let's look at these trades that have gone down this week. So we've got two. First one on October 22nd in 2020, the year of our Lord, at 3:09 a.m. We have Kenny Galladay being sent from Reitmeyer to Scorp for David Montgomery and DJ Moore. All right, let's just make it quick. When you look at that trade, let's try to grade that trade, or not even grade that trade. But do you think either team got the better deal, or do you think it's beneficial for both teams? Ryan, what do you think? First off,
I think Scorp won because he got the best player in the deal. I think David Montgomery is terrible at football.
but he's got opportunity.
Yeah,
which is
Volume is.
It does.
volume is good.
Yeah, volume is
And
good.
the colder it gets there, the more opportunity he's going to get.
Okay, so what do you think, Jake?
Well, I agree with Ryan. Since Kenny Galladay has come back, he has not scored less than 12 points, I believe.
Yeah,
You'd have to
yeah.
fact check me on that one.
12.5.
That's his lowest output.
Yeah.
He's also going to get volume there because I think they're going to play from behind, even though the running game looked incredible last week. But I like the upside of a DJ Moore. We'll see how impacted it is with McCaffrey coming back, if that kind of pulls away. But I mean, I feel like he's kind of turned on the last two games. What is his last two game outputs been, DJ Moore?
17.3, 11.8.
All right, so not
Decent.
too bad.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Montgomery. But Scorp's thing is this. I always look at it from this standpoint. He was what we talked about last week, had too many options. So he traded one guy he really didn't want to play in Montgomery for DJ Moore, and he upgraded at that spot. So he got rid of Moore for a guy he didn't want to play as well, like Moore and Montgomery, and then upgraded at that spot. So I like what Scorp did there. I feel like he solidified his team where he ain't going to go through that problem that we've been talking about. Who do I start?
Montgomery doesn't have 20 carries in a single game this year.
Okay. Good statistic. Brian, what do you think about this trade?
I talked to him about it, and I wasn't too crazy on it to begin with. But after talking to him and
Talking to score.
talking to score,
You
and
told all
looking
right.
at his team,
It was.
Claypool is hanging on, doing good, but I mean, that can go down at any point in time.
Deontay's back this week.
So Metcalf and Gallaudet gives them some
Top end
structure to it. Like you can start relying on those guys more. So you don't have to so that third wide receiver slot, because DJ has been more down than up. Robbie Anderson's pretty much been what DJ was supposed to be this year. So he doesn't have to stress about DJ. He got rid of some unnecessary running back depth. So I mean, it works for him. It's a good trade.
Okay. So would you say that Scorp was a winner of this trade?
Yeah. Reitmeyer could be a winner too. I mean, if somehow Montgomery remembers to play football and DJ Moore turns it on, Reitmeyer could be sitting in a good spot. But as it stands right now, looking at it on the surface, yes, Scorp got that.
So the benefit of the deal for Reitmeyer is the fact that Dalvin Cook's already gotten hurt again, which he does every year.
And Montgomery would be probably his number 2 moving forward, to be honest. Even with Cook back, I think you don't know what you're going to get from Le'Veon, Frank Gore.
You know what
I
you're
can't
getting from
trust
Frank
those.
Gore. You're getting like 11 carries for like 55 yards.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of like a Montgomery upside a little bit more per week because I feel like him and Gore could be even on normal weeks, but I think Montgomery has a little bit more within that offense, more potential.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
And then who knows what's going on in the Rams backfield? That's the other problem. I mean, Henderson looks good, and then the next week they're going to give it to Akers, and then Brown will get an opportunity or something.
Yeah, anytime you got 3 running backs in the backfield, like 2, I think is manageable. Like if you have
If you got a
some
good
type
one,
of
too.
split carries, I think that's somewhat manageable from a fantasy aspect. But 3 is just too much volatility.
They're all 3 the same guy. That's the other thing.
I don't think they're all
two-
3 the same guy because from what I read, Matthew Berry retweeted this. Like Malcolm Brown, they like a lot more in pass protection than the other 2, and Jared Goff is making some money. So I think that Malcolm Brown's going to be on the field. I just don't know what type of actual opportunities he's going to get. Whether they're
Maybe in
high
running
value.
style is what I should have.
Maybe, maybe in running style.
They're both kind of bigger guys, downhill runners. There's not that kind of yin and yang. Like one's kind of a Deion Lewis pass catching kind of guy, or James White, where they're very versatile out of the backfield in that regard, while another one's a power runner.
Okay.
I feel like they're all running style similar.
To speak on David Montgomery, Ryan just pulled this up. So Tariq Cohen went down in week 3. Since week 3, so week 4, week 5, week 6, Montgomery has been 9.2, 15.4, 11.7. And there's not really any other options in Chicago.
I think the number 2 running back there is Cordero Patterson, who
Yeah,
is
it
a
is.
converted
Yeah.
wide receiver.
So that does.
Never
so-
did anything at receiver.
I guess looking at Reitmeyer's team,
He was
real
a
quick,
kick returner. They tried to make a wide receiver.
Yeah, Cordero Patterson. I think he's just an athlete, and they're just trying to figure out how to utilize him. But
Yeah, he's just
At what
overpaid.
point do you just start saying, like, this guy just ain't that good at football? Like, he's good at returns. He's a specialist at that, but people keep paying him like a
They pay him
like a guy
he's-
who's going to make a lot of plays for him consistently when he's like one big play every 5
People
weeks.
keep trying to find the next Percy Harvin. Like Percy Harvin was a freak of nature, just
Yeah.
had migraines.
David Montgomery for Reitmeyer's team, I think is a pretty good ad because that gives him just a week in, week out guy he can trust because
I
he
would
is
take
going to get
11 over
opportunity.
5. I know that sounds dumb to say, but like if you're saying Frank Gore is going to get 50 yards, you don't know what's going to happen in the Rams backfield. I like the idea of getting a guy who's like low ball 9 or 10 or something like that compared to a guy that could go for 2 or 3.
Yeah, and he does. I mean, looking at Reitmeyer's team. So he's got David Montgomery, who could be a solid week in, week out number 2. He does have Dalvin Cook on bye this week. Darrell Henderson, again, like we just talked about with the Rams, just kind of don't know what to expect, but Darrell Henderson may be the best one out of that. He also has Frank Gore, as you mentioned, and I guess the biggest wild card of all, Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Dude.
I just don't know how they're
What?
going to do it.
I mean, what do you? I mean,
I think they're going to cut him.
like Brian. All right, so like Le'Veon is playing this week.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect from Le'Veon this week?
Not a whole lot.
Do you think he kind of gets worked into the offense and can
Yeah,
play
it's
a
gonna
role
be
down the
slow.
stretch?
It's going to be slower. I think, you get playoff time. I think they'll lean on him more than
Clyde.
Edwards, because he's not. He hasn't been showing much trust in him. And granted, when you got Pat Mahomes, you're not going to run the ball a ton anyway. But I think when it gets down to it, they would probably trust Le'Veon towards playoff time a little bit more.
I could see them trusting Le'Veon in definitely red zone.
That's what I was about to ask.
Third
Ryan.
down and red zone.
I was about to ask Ryan, are you afraid? Because sometimes teams, when they get a big transaction like this,
Their
they
offense.
not only does it give a boost off it, but they want to get the guy integrated. So
Yeah.
It's like a first and goal after a pass interference, and they're like, Le'Veon, go get you just to make it feel like, hey, look at our
They
new
want
toy.
to justify the signing.
The signing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes they want them to just get in the end zone week 1, or the first week playing with them, just so it's like
Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't get goal line. They take him out for Darrell Williams. I would much rather have Le'Veon Bell and Darrell Williams in there. So that's an upgrade for him. Even if he was just a third down back and a red zone guy, they've upgraded.
I think it's going to be interesting to see that. I didn't expect Le'Veon to go to the KC personally.
I like the idea of him at the Bills.
Yes.
I kind of like when they were talking about that because that's a dangerous team with Allen, and I thought he might fit in kind of well in that scheme.
He could. All right, so let's look at the other trade that went down this week. So the first trade was a 2-for-1. Second trade is a 2-for-2. So Autobahn time. Josh Broach traded Pittsburgh's D and Dalton Schultz to Baba Booey, Rams Diddy, for Devontae Parker and Robert Tunyon. We were saying it wrong this whole time.
Like bunions and funyuns.
Funyuns, yeah.
Which reminds me of feet, and I hate feet.
Which Funyuns? I guess they both kind of remind you of feet because Funyuns don't smell good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People's feet smell like funyuns, and then people have bunions on their feet. But back to you, Bub.
Back to you, Bub. Okay, so I did talk to Ramsdale about this trade because when I saw it, I'm not saying that I thought that one team had a definite advantage, but I was just curious because you don't really see defenses traded that much.
No, you really don't.
And so that was something that stood out to me.
Have we ever had a defense traded, you think?
Yeah, I know we have.
Were they the centerpiece of a deal, though?
I believe so. I really believe so. When we first.
Oh, well, are you talking about when we had the points jacked up to the point where defenses were outscoring quarterbacks?
Yeah,
Okay.
defenses were traded.
Okay.
But I'd say in the last probably 5-6 seasons.
Yeah, since we've normalized our league, I don't think it has.
Honestly, I wouldn't even say 5-6 seasons. I'd probably say 7-8 seasons. No, so that's what stuck out to me. Brian, what did you think when you first saw this trade?
It was a rental and Schultz. He's not really going to be plugged in, week out. It was mainly trading for Pittsburgh on Andrews Park.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at.
Now, he's got Mark Andrews on a bye, right? I guess
Right.
He's got Baltimore on the bye as well. Defense.
He needed a tight end this week.
Yeah, he needed a tight end. He needed a tight end and a defense this week.
Yeah.
So Pittsburgh was a good one.
So was Juice.
Do you think Schultz's value has greatly diminished without Dak?
I don't know if it's greatly diminished because I just don't know exactly what Andy Dalton is about.
Yeah.
That game the other night was just hard to tell.
It's hard
anything.
to say that's what the offense is going to be for sure moving forward. I understand what you're saying.
Dalton Schultz's value could be seriously, it relatively could be about the same.
I mean, he's still tall. He saw 5 targets.
I mean,
with Dalton, which that's good for a middle of the road tight end.
Yeah, and Tunyon. I mean, how many targets is he going to see weekend?
Oh, Bobby Tons.
And then the Packers had a bad game this past week.
Yeah,
they played epically bad.
Parker for Broach. Slightly better than Christian Kirk if you want to put him
he
in the
might
flex.
make a flex.
We don't know what that offense is going to look like with the quarterback change that happened.
No clue.
And he didn't have a tight end.
Really
was a big deal for him to get.
This was kind of filling some spots.
Yeah. I mean, this Bennett Broach was in more of a need spot.
Yeah.
I don't think either team won the trade. They just
they
had spots that they need. They had needs more than they had upgrades.
Right.
I just like to see mutually. I like to see
even
two teams get better because of the trade.
Yeah, and I think they did.
I think so too, and I think so with the Scorpion Reitmeyer trade too. I think I like
Yeah.
trades that both teams get better.
You can look at them and see where their minds were going looking at their
Yeah.
team. And I think they're shoring up loose ends. We're getting close to playoff time. So,
Yeah. Jack, when you saw this, what'd you think?
I still had the Devontae Parker, like the potential this guy could have. Well, I feel like we've been saying this for like 3 or 4 years about this guy. Like his
top 15 in his draft class.
And he did well.
And he
last
has
year.
glimpses of
Yeah.
being that guy. He's never just fully put together. And kind of a topic I wouldn't mind trending into after this is kind of talking about the season Fitz Magic was having, and it was Fitz Magic. Like that dude has been
Best season of his
incredible.
career.
He
The
was
whole
rough week 1, but after that he looked.
He's
very
put up over 24 fantasy points
played
every
Miami.
week. I
They played
think.
New
since
England,
week
right?
week
Yeah.
1 was bad, but
They
that's
played
Yeah,
New
after
England
that-
week 1.
But I mean, we're talking about 5 weeks in a row, consistent play.
Top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, he had been playing well, and he didn't do anything to lose the job. That's the part that I keep seeing a lot of people post on social media about is like he gets benched in a victory to put in
A blowout.
Tua, and he's celebrating it. He's cheering it. He's asking for the crowd to get involved. Little does he know the next day that he's now riding the pine.
I think he said he had a friend text him and ask him about it, and then Brian Flores, the head coach, called him in his office.
See,
and told
that's
him.
messed up. Like it broke to the freaking news before.
is this like again like Miami intentionally trying to lose games?
Not with Tua. I don't think
You
you
don't
bring
think so?
your rookie quarterback, your franchise piece in to tell them to lose. I think they're doing better than they anticipated. But then
Then why would you bench?
pitch.
Yeah.
So
That's my question.
My question to you guys is: does this mean that they're sitting there saying we want to go ahead and see what the kid can do, and Fitzpatrick's value would never be higher than what it is right now? That he maybe is trade bait.
Who could be trade bait for? Dallas.
Dallas is a big option to me.
He said Dallas, England. Now, Dallas, New England, Indy.
Cleveland was
and
mentioned,
Cleveland
especially if Baker's
with
injuries.
Baker hurt those ribs.
Okay. I mean, maybe. I was shocked by it.
I think the most logical one is I think we all think it Dallas with the way he's been throwing it and a gunslinger with those kind of weapons. It doesn't, like you said, change their offensive line. That's still horrendous, but that division is straight trash. So they can still make the playoffs. They're going to be like the Carolina Panthers the year that they had a losing record and were in the playoffs.
Could it be the Giants or Washington?
Giants have to stick with Daniel Jones for the time being.
I don't
Just kind
think
of ride that out.
Just for
think-
a little bit. It's kind of like what the Trubisky Chicago thing.
It's kind of just
Everybody kind of feels like you need to move on,
Mhm.
but can you really move on right now? Like, what good is it going to do?
If you
Make a
move
big
on-
switch.
If you move on from him and you took him that early,
Yeah.
the GM's probably getting.
Did they trade up for Daniel Jones?
No, they just took him to
Was it
6.
just taking him there?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Washington would make more sense just because they've already benched their young guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They benched Dwayne Haskins
Yeah.
for
And they're
Kyle
talking-
Allen.
Now, would you trade straight up Fitzpatrick for Haskins?
Nah.
I'm
It would be.
just-
I don't like
It'd
bringing
be a
Haskins into
7th
that
round
one.
pick.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like Haskins. Is
I don't like bringing that into
Yeah.
the locker room anyways with Tua. I think if you're going to do it, like
If
I don't even think you get a quarterback back. I think you ask for a draft pick.
I think
if you're gonna do it.
I don't think you get anything more than maybe a 6th round pick.
Yeah, but for a
Yeah.
team like Miami, if you're just going to stick them on the bench and not use them for the rest of the year, and you're able to get a 6th rounder, it's better than just having them sit there and do nothing other than maybe mentor. But he's already talked about how hurt he was, and we don't know what. I think he's a professional. He's been in this league long enough and a high character
It's
guy.
happened to him a couple times.
Yeah, I don't
already.
think he's going to act like a prima donna, I guess is kind of a word to use.
He's an ultimate professional.
Yeah, I think he'll still
He's a Harvard
guy.
man.
He is a Harvard man.
But I feel bad for him.
Yeah, sure.
Like to have the best season of your career and get benched.
They said it
Doing
was
nothing
always
wrong.
they said it was always the plan to transition to Tua, but why do you do it when your team's actually starting
That's
to play
terrible.
well?
3-3.
call.
You're 3-3, and the games you've lost, you lost week 1 against New England
Which you
by
give
10 points.
you give Belichick an entire offseason to plan for one game. Yeah, that's gonna
You
work.
lost to Buffalo by 3 points,
Who?
and you lost to Seattle by 8 points.
Yeah.
That's your 3 losses.
And those teams have what combined 2 losses? Oh,
New England's
Other
got
New England.
3.
Buffalo's
Buffalo's
got
2.
2.
Seattle's
And
undefeated.
Seattle's, yeah.
So-
So, I mean,
So
you beat Jackson, but I mean, I guess again, you look at the
Excluding New
wins. Like you beat Jacksonville,
they beat the brakes off San Francisco.
you beat the
Yeah.
brakes off San Francisco, which is
Then
just a
turn
team
around
that's
and-
just kind of I don't know.
Who did
Then
San
you beat-
Francisco turn around and beat this week?
The Rams, I think.
Yeah,
maybe?
and then
they
they beat the Jets. So do they have like any big wins?
I think
Maybe
San
San Francisco.
I think San
Maybe.
Francisco
I
still
think it's
is.
maybe. I don't think it's like the
I know
If
their
you beat,
defense
there's
is
a difference
banged
between
up.
beating somebody and embarrassing somebody.
Yeah.
they embarrassed.
When you make them bench their quarterback and then put up 41, it's still going to be like, dang, they
They embarrassed the team that
Beat
just
the
played in the
crap
Super Bowl last year.
It's unfortunate, but hey, that's the way the league goes, I guess.
So
Cookie crumbles and whatnot.
last time I'm going to bring this up, I just want to hear your prediction. Fitzpatrick finishes the year with Miami, yes or no?
I think so. I think they
Yes,
keep him
yeah,
to
he'll be there.
mentor Tua.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why else. Yeah,
It's a stupid call. It's a bad judgment call, but
I don't like it. But
no, I mean,
I
you're
think
a
you
game
got-
out of first place.
And you're benching him for a quarterback that just came off a major hip injury they thought might have derailed his entire career.
I think if you trade him, you're doing Tua a disservice.
For sure. Because who are you going to bring? Who's
Andy
going to be the other backup? I don't think they'd trade that straight up.
Chill.
A ginger for a ginger?
Chill.
Come
I
on.
think
now.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is again the professional that we
Yeah,
all
for sure.
believe
He's
him
ultimate
to be.
professional.
That he's gonna kind of be that guy to kind of guide Tua, and I
Him-
think that's good for
Him and Josh McCown
Tua.
have filled that role for like the last
Yeah.
2 decades.
I do feel bad for him. Really.
Oh, yeah.
It is what it is. All right, so
He didn't even get to have a chance to have his downward spiral that he has every season.
he did
Like
usually
the
gets
five
bits from
interceptions,
Jameis, but it is what it is.
All right, Jameis, you get in there and do it. Damn it, he did it too.
Yeah.
Can we go back?
All right.
Yes. No takebacks.
This is week 7. So week 7 marks. It doesn't mark the middle point of the regular season. It's kind of that in between week 6, week 7
You
of
can't
the
have
regular
you
season.
can't
of
have
fantasy
a middle
football.
week of an odd week season, so we had to do it.
Well, hold on now. I don't. But if you've got 5 people, like the middle is 3.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. That's just what came
We've
to my
played
mind.
6 weeks, and we've got 7 weeks remaining.
We haven't started week 7.
So this is the middle point. This is the middle point, then, right?
We passed the middle point. Wednesday would have been the middle point. Last night started week 7. So we're starting to go downhill a little bit.
This is the middle point.
This is the middle point, I think. Right?
Yeah, because you've already played 6 weeks, and after this week, you got 6 more.
All right, this is the middle point. Okay. See, that's why I was giving that whole 5 and 3 is the middle. All right. Anyways, so we got a little.
But home is where you make it.
Hey, it's whatever you're into, man.
Whatever floats your boat.
I mean, I don't know how it's going to help me find my parents, but whatever.
All right, so this week we got a little mid-season fantasy football awards edition of the Fantasy Football 5.
That's a working title, but we're going to go with it.
That is the title.
That's a heavy title.
That's a lot.
You want a better title?
No.
Okay, because you're about to hear some magic. All right,
Like Fitz.
mid-season fantasy football awards. We came up with 5 of these. Came up with 5 awards that we're going to give out this week. Number 1 is what we call Mr. Consistent. Mr. Consistent. The first award, Mr. Consistent. So, how do we? What's the word I'm looking for? How do we decide on Mr. Consistent? What is Mr. Consistent? Let's just ask that question.
Very consistent.
So, does that mean?
He's not had a bad week. He's not had that, like, he scored 180. He's just been right there the whole time.
The production hasn't fluctuated. It has stayed pretty much on a flat plane.
Okay, so somebody that's had good weeks, week in, week out. We can agree that's Mr. Consistent.
Now, on the flip side, a Mr. Consistent could also have been, it's not how we take it, but could have been somebody that's been terrible the entire time. Because that's consistent.
That is consistent.
Like the Jets.
All right, well, man.
They are consistent.
Well, hold on. Well, do we discuss this?
That's not how we're doing this, but I'm just saying that is also Mr. Consistent. But you don't get awards for being bad. Unless it's 2020 and you get participation trophies. We ain't doing that. That's not the
Dude,
that's not
we were
fine
getting
play.
participation trophies in 1995.
We were getting
Yeah, we were.
medals.
You were.
We all were.
I wasn't. I
Oh,
was
you
I was
played
getting
basketball
champion.
this year? Good job.
I was getting
I don't get my
champion.
kids
I was getting champion
trophies.
trophies.
They gave us medals. They
Every
gave us
year,
I was
the
getting a
Random and
championship.
Rec Center gave us participation.
Not when you were winning championships like me.
That's why you don't play for Random.
Who would you play for?
Pleasant Garden Level Cross, son.
Smack their
Oh.
ass.
Oh, man.
On the floor.
You played for
Give me
Random,
some more.
right?
Yeah.
You got a participation trophy.
No, we usually finish pretty high.
Medal.
But you
Baseball?
still
No,
got
we
a
didn't.
participation
Randy Bacon wouldn't get 'em.
trophy. every year. Yes, you did because the rec center paid for them, dude. Golly, y'all are in denial at this point.
Jeff Tutt didn't give us our
finish
team.
first.
In every
Very
sport.
good.
Yeah, I can't think of once.
I can. Your 7th grade year of basketball.
No, we won everything.
No, you didn't.
I
No,
was-
you didn't.
No, you
I
didn't.
guarantee you did.
I
Because you're
might-
the only player on your team.
I might have won the league MVP.
They give league MVP.
They should have that year.
Mason
'cause I
Shit
shot.
got it every year.
I shot every time.
So
down.
don't start with
My
me.
team wouldn't even shoot. They just threw it to me, and Big Sean's like, "Go ahead, just go
Okay,
ahead."
all right. So Mr. Consistent.
I mean, I don't know how much do I got to explain this. Just level.
Mr. Consistent. So
Even
this.
keel fella.
So when we look at Mr. Consistent,
Is there anyone that has been about the same point production each week?
well, I can tell you somebody that has put up points week in, week out.
Tell me.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go all the way back.
Jack, I'm just telling me.
We're going to go back to the beginning of September because we've been in this for 7 weeks now.
Do you
Or,
remember?
excuse me. This is the 7th week. But we've been at it for 6 weeks at this point, boys. And this player has put up, on average,
Player or manager?
I guess it's a manager.
Yeah.
If you want
Yes,
to call
we're
it
gonna
that.
say that.
I say that this player's put up on average. I don't have the average. I don't have the average.
Goodness gracious.
I'd love to know is even his lowest output. 'cause
What
I
kind
I would
of
like to know, too.
establishment we running here?
I would like to know too. But this player in week 1, this manager in week 1
Jesus.
put up
What are we doing?
170 points. 170.
That's what we call a beast.
So we call it beast. 170.7. That's week 1. In week 2, this fantasy manager put up 160 points
Goodness
That's
gracious. That's
consistency.
10 less,
That's
but still
consistency.
good.
That's consistency.
in a loss.
Daggum right it was.
In a loss.
Scrooge, no fun.
Who do you lose to?
Hey, everybody.
In week 3, this fantasy manager put up 144
Good Lord.
Dropped again, but he's
In
still
a
high.
loss.
It's still high. Still high. Might have been the second
In
highest
a
points
loss.
that week.
in a loss.
Is that the right Meyer? Is that right Meyer?
I already clicked. Yeah, it was right, Meyer. You're right.
I figured the guy who knew about that team the most would know.
In week 4, a little bit of a drop off, but still 99.2, 99.4,
Ooh.
99.4.
That's impressive.
In week 5,
Yep, that's the next one.
136.3. In a victory,
Dada boy.
came back.
Still trying to figure out who we're talking about.
In week 6,
Maybe that'll help.
had his worst week of the year in week 6. 97.5.
Mm.
It's a little up and down. But
Mm.
this player has put up the most, I guess what you would call it, high weeks. Can we call it high weeks?
You call it whatever you want to.
Because what do you think the average score of like anybody is?
I feel like we should change the name of this award now.
What are you talking about?
So like, what's an average?
So this team's averaging 135 points a week.
Okay, that's higher than I would say the league
League
average.
average.
League average, I'm probably saying about 110.
It's got to be higher.
I think I've only scored over 135 once this year.
And this fantasy manager has done it. If I have my calculation just right, and I am good with calculation, I've done it 4
That's
times.
such an overrated movie. Quit bringing it up.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ryan.
The Dark Knight. You know exactly what I'm
Who's
talking about.
bringing up the Dark Knight?
You just did.
Because I am good with calculation. And this
But
fantasy
not good with
manager,
English.
the Mr. Consistent mid-season award goes to
I can't play the drums.
you playing the bongos. You playing the bongos, Mr. Brian Roberts.
Are we shaking hands here?
Yeah, we're shaking
We're
hands.
kissing babies.
Congratulations. Would you like to speech?
Really drawn out for an award. A lot of anticipation built.
That's all the time we got.
On to the next one.
Proud of you, kid.
All right, so our Mr. Consistent so far mid-season award goes to Mr. I'll put Byron
You put Byron.
on accident.
Lord Byron?
Look, I've got problems when it comes to typing, man. I got
We've
problems.
known each other since the first grade.
All right, our second award tonight.
You could also have been Mr. Unfortunate because you've had all these big weeks and everyone else just happens to have their best week against you.
We could have called that Snickets.
Snickets. So our next award.
Next one. Hit us
I
with
guess it's probably the opposite of Snickets. What's the opposite of God, you don't talk about a rabbit hole. Opposite of Snickets? What's that?
Pickets.
Rabbit's foot.
The Rabbit's Foot Award? No, we're going to call this the Horseshoe Award.
Okay.
A horseshoe
Came
award.
up with that one, do it.
I'm thinking about the opposite of Snickets would be like, Ron. When he
Rickets,
takes,
like
when he
the
takes
illness?
that. No, when he takes that potion.
Essence of didn't he?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
Okay. The Horseshoe Award. Our Horseshoe Award is going to the player that's been lucky, that's had good fortune. Our Horseshoe Award is going to the fantasy manager that's just, hey, maybe they aren't picked to win the week. Maybe when we look at it, when we all think about it, deep down in our hearts, we know that, man, they may not have the best team, but they've had the most luck. And sometimes it's better
To be lucky than good. I'd
Better
rather
be
be lucky than good.
You are what your record says you are.
You are what the record says you are. And this record, the record of this fantasy manager, it's 5-1. It's the best in the league. This award, the Horseshoe Award,
Where's
is
he at?
going to
Where's he at in points?
in
If you don't mind
points.
me telling
Oh,
that real
in
quick.
points, he is number 9.
Number 9. What is he points against? Like people scored against. him.
Number
Points is-
1.
points is
Yes.
8.
But what's the margin between him and 2? If you could look at that real quick. I know I'm taking.
All right, so you want to know
who's second in that list?
All right,
second
point-
in points against?
Yes.
Points
Michael.
for he's 8, and points against he's
Points for is 8.
Lord.
Did I read wrong? I did read wrong.
Yeah.
He's 8th in points for. He's second in points against, and that's what makes him.
nice person points against. By 30.
I'm not good at calculation.
I know.
Yes.
I'm aware.
I'm not
But
good at calculation.
That statement was
It's right- there's a-
Yeah, it's right here.
There's
It's
a-
right in front of
He's
us.
What are you
looking-
looking at? Because you look at your screen and then you spitting out wrong numbers.
I'm not good at calculation.
It's not even calculating. Like it's right there.
I mean,
The math
I'm
is
not.
done for
The
you.
numbers don't make
I'm
sense.
not good at reading.
Socrates didn't help.
Just throw out the team name. We'll go
Just
from there.
just say who it is.
So our mid-season fantasy
That's big.
football horseshoe award goes to Jordan's
Now you're
team.
going the female argument where if they got the wrong point, they just start talking louder and they win the argument every time. And I like it. Good job,
Jordan's
Jordan.
team. Good job, Jordan's team.
Proud of you, Jordan.
He may
I don't trust
not.
you though.
He may not have the most points.
Why didn't you
He
give
may
him
not
his
have the
last
second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Does he say he was 8? Is he was 8th in points?
8.
So he ain't got any of those points. But he is 8th in points. He's lucked up when it counts. He's 5-1. Horseshoe
He's
award.
lucked up.
Jordan
Does
Down.
Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
We've always known Jordan's been lucky.
Yeah, seriously.
Proud of you, buddy.
I don't.
There's no
public
argument to be made.
podcast am I talking about?
All right, so our third award tonight is going to the best pickup.
Go ahead and call it.
Best pickup.
Best edition.
So, best addition? Nah, that's pretty good. The best pickup so far.
The person who's best at math, adding and subtracting to their team, make them better. Call that the Lau Award.
The Lau Award?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Best pickup this year. It was a player that wasn't drafted.
Mm.
A player that wasn't drafted. A
Mm-hmm.
quarterback that wasn't drafted.
But
Quarterback
was picked up and dropped and then picked up again.
was very, very true. That happened.
A
Jake, who did
quarterback that has been lighting it up.
Apparently everyone
All year.
MVP running.
MVP candidate quarterback
Yeah.
that was not drafted.
The
That
Stallion.
doesn't happen every year.
No, I don't.
Most of the time, I guess it did happen last year too. Not picked up, but drafted late.
Drafted very late. It's happened like 3 times in our league. Last year with Lamar,
Mhm.
Jake with Pat
Pat
Mahomes the year
Mahomes.
before, and I think Brian had Cam his rookie year.
He did. But most of the time,
And those were last of the pick, but
Yeah.
at least they got picked.
yeah, most of the time, you don't have MVP candidates that aren't drafted.
Unless his name's Peyton Hillis.
He wasn't MVP. Let's be real.
He wasn't my heart. He's a Madden cover guy.
Yeah, and you see what happened.
He got paid.
So this fantasy manager made the best pickup so far this season. I honestly can't remember who they picked up who they drafted as their starting quarterback. I think that'd be something that we can maybe look into. But right
drafted
now,
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
I'm not talking about you.
I picked up the guy we're talking
No, you're not.
He did pick him up, but he dropped him before this person
No, you
picked him up and
did.
kept him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well then, well that is what it is. That is what it is. The best pickup, the 2020 fantasy football, fantasy football 5, the League of Ordinary Gentlemen. The best pickup so far goes to Steve Reitmeyer with Josh Allen.
Good job, man. Proud
I don't
of
even think it's close.
No, it's not.
I don't think it is either.
The quarterback he drafted to be his starter was Drew Brees, who is my favorite quarterback, but he is not the same that he's been. So that was an upgrade.
Right. You
for
know it was
sure.
coming, but nobody really thought it would.
Yeah.
That he would. I mean, he's not doing terrible,
Yeah, he's still winning games.
but I mean, if you can get a Josh Allen, the way he's played this year,
You go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
that's-
Josh Allen.
it's good.
I've had two. I will say, I guess we have to call a spade a spade. Josh Allen's last 2 games haven't been as great as his first 4 games.
Pouring in the last
One of them, he had good numbers. They just turned the ball over a lot, which killed a bunch of drives. And then last week it was a downpour.
True.
So you run the ball more.
Got a pretty good schedule. I mean, he played Tennessee and KC the last.
He
2
plays in the
games.
AFC East. He's going to have a good
Yeah,
schedule.
he's got a good schedule. He's got a good schedule.
He's got a good schedule.
Oh, he's
So
got a good schedule.
our best pickup goes to Steve Reitmeyer.
Proud of you.
Why did
So-
Jordan not get his last name?
I don't know. I
He
guess
did,
I,
but
don't-
Jordan team.
I just put Jordan. I don't know why.
Well, because we call Jordan. We call Reitmeyer. We don't ever call him Steve.
Steve the Pirate. Scurvy.
We got a dude on our team dressed like a pirate?
All right, our 4th award is going to be the most potential. So this award is going to the fantasy team. I guess we should probably say fantasy team other than fantasy manager. The fantasy team that has the most potential. Maybe they hadn't put it together so far. Maybe things just hadn't broke their way. Maybe they don't have the most points. Maybe they've lost some weeks where they should. But the team that has the most potential going forward. So what do we think about when we say most potential? Are we talking about a team that can make a deep playoff run?
They have the potential to do so.
I think you shoot more movers and shakers finish out the rest of the season, trending upwards.
Trending upwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's always the guy you don't want to kind of see in the playoffs because other people, they might be a good team, but they are who they are. They don't really have an explosion week in them. Meanwhile, a potential group is one that sometimes underperforms, but other times just comes out and could absolutely put up a haymaker. And
The New York Giants
Knock
with
you
Eli and that one season with Joe Flacco. It's a team that if they get hot, you're not beating them.
Yeah.
For
Michael
whatever
Smith
reason.
in any fantasy year but this year.
Was that team
Yeah.
that you just didn't want to meet in the
No,
playoffs?
because I saw Michael knock me out of the playoffs like 2 out of the last 3 years.
That's really.
Yeah. Now one of the years he was like best team. Was it last year? He was just good.
Yeah,
Oh,
last
yeah.
year he had a.
But that one year, I mean,
he was 8.
yeah,
And you were first.
I didn't want to play him because of the way he been. And he
You had to.
destroyed me.
You had to, though.
Yeah, he
That's
played.
why the
me.
cookie crumbles, man.
Yeah. But yeah, trending up.
Trending upwards, most potential. The team that you don't really want to meet come playoff.
Person's going to
time.
just burst through that glass ceiling.
They could burst through that glass ceiling.
first.
Clinton.
This award for most potential is going to
Who is it?
Andrew Sperry of Team Scorp. So when we look at this team real quick, so why do we think this team has the most potential? Well, let's look at some of the players on there.
Tell us who's on that team, JT.
What do you want to know first? What do you want to know first?
Players,
Players,
positions, possibly.
positions. All right, QB Justin Herbert.
There we go.
What you think about Justin Herbert, Ryan?
Best quarterback in the league.
That's
Okay.
where he's hurt
Okay.
the most at.
Okay. Wide receiver 1 right now, DK Metcalf. Strong.
Very strong.
Just added another receiver, Kenny Galladay.
Also strong.
sitting his best receiver, his second best receiver to this point, Allen Robinson.
Yeah, he's got a matchup against Jalen Ramsey this week, so it makes sense why he's sitting him. But he's still that's going to be your top wide receivers. He's going to play most weeks.
The biggest wide receiver output at least in the past 2 weeks, Chase Claypool.
Past 2 weeks, I think he's wide receiver 1.
I do. I believe you're right. The number one fantasy, or I guess outside of quarterbacks, the number one fantasy player, Alvin
Fantasy
Kamara.
flex eligible player.
Flex eligible. Alvin Kamara. The guy that's done a lot more than I thought he was.
Been
Oh,
like
you
a
talking about the
90% McCaffrey guy.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
talking about the guy that just fits right into that Carolina Panther system role?
What was that about? What has that been about? I did not expect that.
What was his worst week? Let me look at it.
Mike Davis, look it up.
Might have been last week.
Last week when he got hurt.
Yeah, last week in Chicago he got hurt.
10.5, yeah.
Other than that, when he actually had to play for McCaffrey, second week when McCaffrey got hurt, he still put up 11.
Yeah, and he only
Without
played really
a
the
full
fourth
game.
quarter.
Yeah.
All right, real quick sidebar. If you could have expected this and known this of Mike Davis, would you have put in a lot bigger claim on Mike Davis, particularly to you?
Yeah, I would have,
Particularly
yeah.
to you.
Yeah, because I was going between Davis and McCaffrey, and we were talking about it. McKinnon.
Yeah.
And I went McKinnon because Mostert got hurt the same week. And I
Yeah.
thought, it's McKinnon. He's going to do fine. I need speed. Mike Davis, his name hadn't really been, you didn't know who Mike Davis was
No.
before McCaffrey.
What do you think his impact will be when McCaffrey comes back? I mean, it's going to be a drop off, obviously, but how big?
Well, it was 99 to 1% McCaffrey. So it'll probably go, I'd say maybe
I guess I'm asking,
80 to 20.
do you think he's still going to be fantasy relevant?
No. And that's what everybody's saying. You got to treat this week as the,
So he's a rental.
Swan
still.
song.
yeah, this is it for Davis.
So you're still calling him a rental
Yeah, he's still around.
and a handcuff at best.
He is a handcuff.
But he's got Miles Sanders on his bench, who was out this week. This is what, the second time he's been hurt now?
It is.
He's got hurt a couple times.
We
which
can
is
talk
really
about.
hurt.
We can.
He's
Yeah.
got Ronald Jones he could throw up there.
I like Ronald Jones.
Ron
I was
Jones been
kinda
playing
looking-
very well. Ron Jones been playing very well. What's the weak point of Scorp's team?
Quarterback tight end.
Quarterback. Yeah.
Quarterback, tight end.
Yeah, pretty easily.
Quarterback, tight end. But everything else, like you look at, I guess
I'm a little nervous on depth at the running back.
now that he got rid of David Montgomery.
Yeah, but just because if Miles Sanders is a little injury prone, I feel good about Jones. I like the way he's looked here lately in Kamara, but with Davis, maybe what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of phasing out. It's not as deep as what it is right now. If that makes sense.
He's
doesn't
got
have depth.
two
He's got-
handcuff running backs.
And he's
Yeah.
got,
Madden's-
he's
yeah,
got
Madison.
3 cornerbacks and 3 tight ends.
That's
Which
really?
that's not ideal.
But, I
he's
mean,
got-
look,
Yeah,
you look at his starting lineup, though. Overall,
His starters are solid.
he's solid. And he's got a couple breakout guys that can, if they're scheduled projected to put up 16 to 20, they could put up, 25, anywhere between 25 and 35.
And that's the reason why he's got the potential, because if that lineup stays healthy right there, it's going to be tough to beat that lineup.
Yeah. You
But
got
you were talking about the depth.
depth's a problem.
He also has the potential to be really hurting.
He does.
I think that's where I'm the most nervous. Like you said, tight end. I mean, but really outside the top, like 3 or 4 tight ends. Most of the time, Hawkinson fits with that next tier anyway.
It's touchdown
there's some-
dependent.
there's-
He scores a touchdown, he's going to be
he's
good. If he
good.
doesn't,
How-
he's been okay.
How many other people are probably saying that week to week too? That
Oh,
are
yeah.
outside the top.
Me?
You.
Get in the pool.
But I love his receivers. I mean, he's deep there. The fact that he's got Robinson on his bench, and that dude would never leave my wide receiver 1, and he's on his bench.
Yeah, he picked up Sterling Shepard. He's on his IR right now. He
Which
did
is-
play last night, so he cannot make any moves until he moves Shepard.
Nope.
But yeah, Shepard looked good.
Who do you think he drops?
Jared Cook.
I would drop Andy Dalton.
Yeah, now
But he
seeing
put
that,
in
sorry.
$15, $16, which is
Yeah.
I put
I-
11 on Roethlisberger last week, and he's already on
Yeah,
my
you just got to
roster, so-
move sometimes.
Sometimes you just got to cut
Speaking
bait.
of people moving people off their roster after they spend a lot of money on them,
No, you don't talk about me. Look, I would have paid him. Well, I would have paid 31 plus the 5 I paid on him. I'd have paid 36 for James White.
How many guys do you need on your team to feel comfortable that every week, it doesn't matter what the projection is, you can win it.
How many guys you need to have on your team?
When you start lineup.
So,
9.
you talking about like breakout?
No. Like realistically, like your minimum to feel
I
comfortable.
want to make sure I'm understanding it before
So
I
you're
answer.
talking about
Like guys you think are going to be big point guys. Is that what you're saying?
Like, yeah, it doesn't matter what the projection is for those guys. Like, you're comfortable, they're going to at least match what they're getting and probably going to exceed.
I would say
You're
three.
overachievers.
3
2
to
to
4.
3.
I'd say 3 to 4.
I think 2 to 3 will do
2
it.
to 3
Depending
if
on
one,
the
if
position.
one of those is a quarterback.
Yes.
Okay.
If it's not a quarterback, I'd say 3 or 4.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I like having
Fair
a quarterback, a wide receiver, and a running back. Like you feel like you're hitting on that, or all 3 of your receivers and quarterback are strong, or something like that. I always like something.
Mine's the exact opposite.
Because
Mine's
he's-
try to
I'm
have 3
looking at
running
his
backs
team.
and just maybe your receiver scores a touchdown.
Claypool, if Claypool keeps doing Claypool things, that's one of them. Metcalf and Kamara. So he's at least going to be in it every week. I don't see him really getting blown out a lot for the rest of the season.
All right. You want to? I mean, I think this is just my personal strategy when it comes to fantasy football. You got to have guys on your team that can carry you.
Right.
If your team has a bad week, you have to have guys that can
Boy, if
just
I
be a
needed
week
some
winner.
McCaffrey.
Be a week winner.
I had a terrible week. I don't remember when it was, but Dak put up like 50 and Aaron Jones put up like 40, and I don't think I had anybody else get over
Right.
like 12.
Right.
But I won that week because I had 2 guys literally.
You got to have
carry my
week
team.
winners. If you don't have week winners, you're probably not going to win a championship.
Let's also not forget. I feel like he almost goes 3 and 3 on that because Kamara is the number 1 running back, number 1 flex option.
Do you think he's number 1 down for the rest of the season? I guess that's probably
With
my-
If he
Michael
started
Thomas,
0?
with Michael Thomas back, I don't think
Michael
Kamara's going
Thomas
to be
isn't
there.
back?
He's not.
I'm saying it with Mike. He said the end of the season.
I'm
With
saying
Michael Thomas
like
back, I
you
don't
all
think
right. So
Kamara's the one.
Alvin Kamara is the highest scoring flex eligible player
Right.
at this point.
So wipe
Do you-
the board clean.
So wipe the board clean. Do you
Start.
think he's number 1 for the rest of the season?
No.
No, other than tight end though, this is where I really look at. Other than tight end, which I still think he could get like 6 or 7 a week at minimum from. I feel like he's got a team that's going to be over 10 points or more in every position.
Yep.
Which you're sitting there saying that you're getting at least 90, and if quarterback goes for 20, you're already looking at a consistent over 100. Which most weeks that means you're in that matchup unless the dude you're going against is going off.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the thing that I like the most about him is his starting lineup. If it stays healthy, I think that's the biggest point of
Oh,
emphasis.
that's
we
the
make. But that's a
potential.
lot of us that would say that.
Yeah.
I don't really see like a glaring weakness other than like I don't want to say Hawkinson's a weakness. I mean, the dude's got some good matchups and they throw the ball a lot there. So
He's average to slightly below a tight end.
All right. Are you surprised that this team is currently out of the playoffs?
Yeah, but I wouldn't worry about it. Like, if I'm him, I'm not panicking at this moment
But
because I'm sitting at 6th place at 2-4. What's his record?
It's the same as yours, but he has
Exactly.
100 less
So-
points.
Right. So, but we're all these 2 and 4s. We're going to be fighting against each other.
Oh, yeah,
We're playing
for
each
sure.
other. So it'll shake its way
But
out.
the
He's
team-
setting himself up for that.
You look at his team right now. Players on his team that he drafted are DK Metcalf and I think maybe Ronald Jones.
And Alvin Kamara.
He didn't draft. Did he
Yeah,
draft
he
more?
got
I thought he
him.
traded for him.
Yeah,
He
got
traded.
moved
He
back.
traded for Miles
He
Sanders.
traded for Miles Sanders. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
He drafted Madison.
And
Robertson.
I'm talking about starting and starting.
Oh, okay.
right
In a
now.
starting lineup. Yeah, there you go. You got it. All right, let's go to our last award, mid-season award for the 2020 fantasy football season. This last award is going to go to the best manager or the best manager, maybe
The best manager of assets, ads, drops, lineup
This-
decisions.
This guy's just done it this year.
Who's controlling his ball club the best?
Yeah, there you go. Because that's what it comes down to. It doesn't. You can draft well, but just because you have a good draft doesn't mean you're going to have a good season.
This isn't best ball.
Can I also point out the fact that this is the guy that we're about to mention doesn't even have cable. So he hasn't even been watching these games. The fact that he's doing these lineups is just strictly based off maybe A, what he's read, or B, just like, well, I like it.
fact
That's my thing.
The fact that he can read.
He has a feel.
I don't know.
I'll be honest, dude. I really do think this. He has probably the best feel for fantasy out of all of us. I think that. Maybe I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm speaking for myself. I think he has the best feel. Not based on logic, not based on statistics.
It's some kind of like savant gut instinct.
It's weird,
something
dude.
like,
It's weird.
Kid
Because-
can't read a kindergarten book, but he can play a symphony.
What?
Fantasy football is his symphony. I'm proud of you, buddy.
I am too. I am too.
I don't even know who we're talking about.
I do. I just think he has a feel for fantasy football, and I don't know what to attribute it to because I'll argue with him.
Brian just sneezed, and it sounded like a little bike horn.
Because I'll ask him, I'm like, what you thinking here? Because I'm not seeing it. But then he explains it, and I'm still like, I just don't know. But it works. It
You
works.
voluntarily trying to go into that man's brain? A braver man than I, sir.
You know, I think it was
Braver man
Nietzsche
than I.
that said, if you stare long enough into the abyss will stare back at you.
I don't listen to anything Nietzsche says, buddy.
Come on.
God bless you.
Thank you. I couldn't fight that.
All right. The best fantasy manager. Well, it's the guy that doesn't even have
A name.
the team name. You can get it. You can do it.
I'm fighting it. Go
You
ahead.
can do
Go
it.
ahead.
You
Go
can do
ahead.
it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I
All
got
right. So the best fantasy manager, I'll say this. He's averaging 133.3 points per week. He has. He has. 1, 2, 3, 4 players on bye, 2 starting running backs on IR. So he has 6 players out this week. Maybe that was part of his plan. Maybe he said, you know what, I'm gonna pick up and I'm gonna have all these guys that they have their bye the same week. I don't know. I at this point I'm done guessing. The fantasy football manager of the midseason awards goes to Baba Booey, Andrew Ramsdale.
Yep. He sure does. Brian's got COVID.
All right, so
Or allergies. We hadn't diagnosed which one it is.
tell me what you think about his team. What you think about his team? So his team's 4-2, and again,
You can't look at it this week because that's
No, you can't look at it this week. But when you look at his team, is this a team that could win a championship, or does he still have to make some moves to maybe to get it to happen?
I think he needs a healthy Nick Chubb to win a championship.
Okay.
That's
Nick
what I'll
Chubb.
say.
Is there any? There's no player update on Nick Chubb.
Nope.
I know the original diagnosis, but he's going to be out for like maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Is there anything new on Nick Chubb? I guess that would probably be the first question to ask. Second.
Recovery's progressing on track.
Okay, so you think, let's see, Nick Chubb went out in week 4? Yeah, in week 4. So you got to think, all right, Yahoo has him projected coming back in week 11. So again, right before the fantasy playoffs start. Nick Chubb coming back. Joe Mixon out this week, but Joe Mixon over the past couple weeks, ever since week 4, again, 39.1, 12.4, 13.9, again, solid start. He's got, again, maybe one of the best fantasy pickups this year with Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Who would have thought? Since he picked him up all right, so week 3, Justin Jefferson went out for 27. Rams Diddy picks him up, 12.3, 3.8, but then bounces back with a 35.1. A week winner because I played him.
Yep.
And if Justin Jefferson wouldn't have went the hell off, I might have won a week for a change. He's got Adam Thielen on bye this week. Adam Thielen, consistent as they come. Myles Gaskin. Did y'all know who Myles Gaskin was?
I did.
You do?
Yeah, because I was like, man, I'm drafting Jordan Howard. He doesn't have to worry about carries. He's got Matt Breida doing third down work. All he got to do is beat out Myles Gaskin. He didn't.
Easy.
He didn't.
Myles Gaskin did no, there's no way I
The
did.
gas can Gaskin.
And then his starting quarterback has got benched this week, just based on matchups, I guess. Playing Green Bay and
Because he's a Packers fan. Didn't want to root against him.
He's had no offense to it, but he's had one kind of big week.
talking about Deshaun.
Yeah. I mean,
he's
32
had-
and then 26, 20, 18, 15, 21. For
We'll talk
where
about this here.
he was
Not too long
drafted, I mean, there's been other quarterbacks that have been kind of outperforming.
Yeah, but we talked about the first 3 weeks that Houston had was one of the toughest stretches.
Yeah, but then
that
even
any team
like
had.
Minnesota 20.9, and Minnesota's been getting kind of torched through the air. And then Jacksonville, Tennessee. Tennessee game was a shootout, and he had a good game in that one.
Let me ask you a question. Looking at
Ask.
Andrew's team. Don't matter your draft position. It matters
okay.
nothing at all.
Okay.
How many of his guys go look at week 6? Because that's for the most part he's got his full lineup.
Okay. I'm going back to week 6.
Except for his first round draft pick.
yeah. Just the guys he put in the lineup that put 140 points up.
Yeah.
How many of those guys would you draft in the first 5 rounds?
5 rounds.
Yeah, you ain't got to name them. Just give me a number. How many guys?
Okay.
3.
In his starting
3. Yeah.
In the starting lineup.
And start lineup 3.
Yeah, 3.
Is that not ridiculous?
Well, 3 out of the top.
I mean, we talked
I
about
think
earlier.
it's ridiculous. I really do.
We talked about earlier. It's a lot of times. It's about opportunity, and these guys are getting
Yeah.
touches.
I mean, in my starting lineup, like the guys that I draft in the first 5 rounds are in there every week, and for better or worse. Like sometimes it's for worse.
Yeah.
But he's made pickups.
That's
better
why
than
he's the
anybody
best manager,
else.
because he's managed his roster.
He
and
has.
worked around
He
stuff.
has. He has. That's what it comes down to. Hey, Baba Booey,
Well
Andrew
done.
Ransdale. Congratulations on being the best manager of the first 6 weeks of the fantasy football season. These are just mid-season award, boys.
Only one matters.
Only one matters. And that's
That's
the
the
end of
last
the season.
Yeah.
So we will revisit.
Who's going to get that kid with heart awards? What we need to figure out.
We will revisit these mid-season fantasy football awards, and we'll see just how these 5 teams play out, how they shake out the rest of the season.
Shakers, movers and shakers.
So what our biggest segment of the week, or not big segment, the most important segment of the week, our matchup preview, week in, week out matchup preview.
It's title of the
Let's
episode.
get into it. So our first matchup this week.
Yep.
We've got, the fantasy manager of the midseason versus Jordan of Jordan's team.
You could say the
Sorry.
first place team.
Who also was the winner of the horseshoe.
This is a first and second matchup, 1v2. All right, Brian.
Yeah.
I want you to give me your first reaction. You look at this matchup, what you see.
Jordan's going to pull off another Jordan. Carson Wentz getting him 28 points. And Andrew's got 2 guys that are still down combined against one guy for him, 15 points. So Andrew's got an uphill battle. But, it's Jordan. You can't sit here and talk about statistics and projections.
Throw them out the window, Brian.
Jordan. It's Jordan. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish the whole thing up. Jordan's going to win this week because Jordan's going to Jordan.
Jordan's going to Jordan.
I will say,
Put that on a T-shirt.
He needs to make that his team now.
I felt like I was the only person riding for Carson Wentz the first few weeks of this season. He's actually starting to get some consistent weapons that he can throw to, and he's looked a lot better.
That is true. Consistency. Every time he had a receiver he was about to start getting comfortable with, they went down.
They got hurt, yeah.
Now it's just with a bunch of practice squad guys, but they're at least staying in the game and
Yep.
look better.
Deshaun Jackson came back last night,
And he's
already out again.
Surgery.
But he's
That's
got
what I heard.
Fulgham,
Done.
been consistent. Ward, and then Boston Scott was catching passes last night. How about that, Boston Scott, and then Richard Rodgers? So I think Carson Wentz. I think that was a smart pickup, and it's Jordan,
still
so it's going
horseshoe.
to work out for him.
It's
Yeah.
Jordan.
I think one of the biggest things that pops out at me is, first off, like we've already mentioned with Andrew, is the fact that he's got so many people on bye or injured. But then even the guys he's got going, like Jordan just has really good matchups this week.
Yep.
Like very favorable matchups across the board. So even if it was a full tilt game, meaning like Andrew had his normal crew in there, Jordan had a lot of really good matchups that were going to help him out.
Right.
So that's something I always do, like looking at. Like I think Singletary could have a big week because he's going against the Jets, which means the score could get up quick. Dallas's defense has been god awful, so Gibson could have a big part of an offense that can't throw the ball. Detroit's got beat up through the air, I feel like, a lot. So
Mhm.
Julio could have another big week, and they'll probably be playing from behind. Boyd in Cleveland feel like he'll have a good week. So, I mean, just kind of going through, I know I just went through almost his whole roster, but I was kind of saying he's got good matchups across the board. So I feel like that's a big difference maker.
I feel like Andrew not having his home run hitters this week's going to hurt him.
That's the biggest.
He's got guys in his lineup that could
That's the
put
biggest.
up 30 or 40 a week, and none of them are currently in his lineup, except for Keenan Allen, because I think he's up 150.
I was waiting on that. I was waiting.
But he's coming off a back injury, so I don't even know how healthy he's going to be.
And he stole from Mike Williams so much.
So Ryan, who are you taking in this 1v2 matchup?
For only the second time this year, I think I'm taking Jordan. And the other time I took him was when he played me.
And who won?
I did.
Okay.
But now that we're actually keeping track of our picks, I'm going to actually try to start doing who I think is going to win.
So you got Jordan this week. All right, Jay, you just talked about Jordan's favorable matchups. You think that Baba Booey has a chance to erase this deficit?
I never question Andrew now, just because every decision somehow he makes ends up working out. But just having, like what Ryan said, the home run hitters on the bench hurts his ability to make up that gap that he's already kind of fallen behind on. Mm-hmm. So for that reason, and because I like the matchups that Jordan's team has, I'm going to go Jordan.
All right. Real quick, I'm going to go with Jordan as well, just again because of kind of what transpired last night. Yep. What stands out to me, though, is he's got a guy to start in lineup that's projected for 3.9. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a lot of Cam Akers in some daily fantasy on Sunday.
Well, I think he's got him in his lineup because Darrell Henderson's questionable now. So if Darrell Henderson doesn't play, that number's going to go up. But as of right now,
I'm going to get a lot of Cam Akers.
If you can get him cheap, go ahead and get him.
I don't question it. I don't question it because I just don't question it. So taking a Jordan clean sweep this week against the team we just said has the best manager. So we'll see how this 1v2 matchup transpires. But there is some.
You got to play the game.
You got to play the game. If you got everybody on bye, it just is what it is. Still got to play the game. All right, our second matchup for this week in our Week 7 matchup preview, we have the Fantasy Phenoms versus Michael of the 08 Lions. Boys, he is not the 08 Lions anymore. Nope. In team name only is he the
2015 Dolphins, I think that's what it was.
Well, there's a couple. We could go 2015
doing that with
Dolphins.
Teams that have
is it 15?
We could go 20. There was, 2007 Dolphins. There's 2010 Panthers. There's 2002 Panthers.
All right.
Okay.
There's the Cleveland Browns, whose only win came against the Chargers, but I don't know who's bringing that garbage up.
Was that 2016? 17?
I don't remember what year it was.
Hugh Jackson.
Yeah.
The Hugh Jackson Browns.
It was the we're getting Joey Bosa Chargers.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to be happy
mad
with
about
right?
that.
All right, so Fantasy Phenoms, Ryan Robertson versus Michael of the 08 Lions. One had a player go last night, Deshaun Jackson, who was mentioned previously, finished with 6.1. Michael still has a flex open, so we got to, hypothesize as to who he puts in there. But what are we seeing here, Jake? When you look at this matchup, what stands out to you?
First off, I want to take time to give an appreciation to Kenyon Drake, who we've all been talking about for multiple weeks, finally had his breakout game against Dallas. He went for
164 and 2 touchdowns, 28.4 fantasy.
Good for him.
I just want to say I had to trade Chris Carson for Kenyon Drake straight up that got rejected.
Wow.
Just throwing that out there. That I submitted to him.
Committed to his guys, which I like.
I'm mad at him.
I know right now Ryan's projected to win pretty big, but I think, maybe if he puts in someone in his flex, it'll pull it up to, I don't know, a little less than that maybe. But I think the matchup's going to be closer than that. I really do. I feel like I think he's got some big play guys on his team. I think Cooper Kupp could have a big week. Fuller's already proved last week had a big week, and I think that could maybe turn into a shootout. If Pittsburgh just keeps getting up on fools like that, James Conner could have a big week.
Oh, throwing that for it out there.
They are. And then, Seattle's defense is maybe one of the worst in the NFL as well.
For sure.
So Drake could have another big week. I think that game will be more of a shootout. I think the person to have in that's on Brian's team. But anyway, I think this matchup is going to be closer than what the projections are. Flipping over to Ryan's, your boy from Washington,
Scary Terry.
Scary Terry. I think he might have a big week this week, a little bounce back. They just need to get some consistent quarterback play. And then your running backs are just, you're hoping for a bounce back from Jones.
I just need Jones to be healthy because Houston's defense is terrible on the ground. That's who Clyde Edwards-Helaire destroyed week 1 on that Thursday night.
What pops out at you, Trogan?
Pop out to me, I would say, so Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow has the opportunity to really put up some points this week, considering that Joe Mixon is out. And Gio, I don't think, is the running back necessarily that Joe Mixon is. He is a receiving back.
I like that.
So I can see Joe Burrow having a pretty good week from the quarterback position. You were talking about
when they run it, he throws it to the running back.
Yeah,
I like that analysis.
Yeah, you were talking about how Michael has guys that could they could put up some big points. I do think Cooper Kupp, Will Fuller, they have that, especially those two. They have that
boom.
Yeah,
boom
they
weeks.
do that boom weeks. But I think Joe Burrow, in this matchup against Cleveland, I think he could maybe have his best fantasy week. I'm not saying they
His
win.
fantasy week is against Cleveland.
Yeah,
Is that true?
He's already had it, yeah.
He has played Cleveland
went the
previously,
heck off,
24.5, 316, 3 touchdowns, through 61 times. I don't see him throwing 61 times again this week.
But if he does, throw him to T. Higgins.
That's right.
Hold on. But I could see Joe Burrow having a pretty good week this week.
Yeah.
If Joe Burrow gives him the edge at quarterback over Stafford, I expect Stafford to put up some decent points.
They're playing Atlanta. That's
I
gonna be
think-
a
He's going to
piece
put
of
up the points.
I do think this could be a pretty close matchup. I'd like to see what Kenyon Drake does off the heels of last week, and then Noah Fant's back, and I like some Noah Fant.
Too bad they got Tim Patrick, but I mean,
They do have Tim Patrick.
I like some Noah Fant. I
Every
think
week.
Noah Fant's one of the more athletic tight ends in the league.
He's a freak, man.
So I'm interested to
Where'd
see.
he go to college?
all
Dude,
right.
I don't know. But I'm interested to see what Michael's team does this week. Brian, what could go wrong for Ryan this week? That's the question I want to ask.
This is a fantastic segment.
2 things. Aaron Jones doesn't play, which he'll play.
Or gets knocked up in the game.
Right.
They're saying he's more questionable than doubtful right now.
And I've got his backup if he doesn't play. So we're
Okay.
But if he does play and then pulls up in the middle of it, like right in the
Le'Veon
first quarter.
surprises all of us. Edwards-Helaire becomes kind of non-existent in the second half, which I doubt happens.
Okay.
And Chris Carson getting surprised by a sneaky Arizona defense.
But somebody that's got a lot of stock in Arizona.
Offensively.
I know offensively.
But yeah, I mean, Arizona's defense is not terrible. Not good enough to really talk about.
And lost their best player 2 weeks ago.
They do. But sneaky enough to
They're
they can trip up a guy.
They're feisty.
They are.
I imagine
Arizona's
Arizona. I ain't got it pulled up right now. I'm probably not going to pull it up. But I imagine Arizona's defense probably had a pretty good week last week against Dallas.
Yeah, I think they had like 5 or 6 sacks.
Golly.
Pull up Arizona's defense points real quick. Just off the wall.
Okay. Because
I owned them for a while because they had some really good matchups there for a couple of weeks.
then you see Dallas on the schedule, and you're like, well, I need to get rid of them before then.
There was a
They
week
put up
before
18 last week.
Put them 18.
Well, who did they have the week before that?
The Jets, they put up 12.
No, I did own them up until Dallas, I guess.
I mean, you see Dallas on the schedule, before. I mean, even with Andy Dalton coming in, dude, I would have said the same thing. I'd be like, that offense could still be really good. We talked about that.
That's Zeke by itself.
They didn't have the
You know,
Jets last
Zeke
week.
losing 2 fumbles in the first
Dallas.
half hurt that.
Yeah, I had them. Yeah, I had them 2 weeks ago, and I had them for 1, 2, 3, 4. I had them for 4 weeks in a row.
Believe it or not, Carolina and Detroit tore them up.
Yes, they did.
Wow.
I believe it. I watched one of those games.
All right, so we're looking at the fantasy phenomenon versus the 08 Lions. Yeah, Ron's got a pretty good lead on the projection right here. We add in who maybe for the flex on Michael's team.
Jake, what's his name?
Chenault Jr.
So you add Laviska Shenault Jr. Could you see him play?
I
Is
could
there
see him
anybody
going
else he could
Hurst.
play? Could you see him playing Hurst, Zach Moss,
I don't think
McKissick?
Zach
I would say
Moss.
it'd be Chenault or McKissick.
I can see him playing McKissick.
Maybe.
Zach Moss probably. I don't.
He
see
did
him
not
playing
look good in
Moss.
his return. It
No.
looks like it's Singletary's backfield again.
Hayden Hurst is a weird one too, man.
You don't know
I
who-
couldn't feel good starting.
He's
Hayden
that
Hurst.
Hawkinson. Like, if he gets a touchdown, he's worth the play. But if not, it's kind of a bad play.
Honestly, it might be worse than Hawkinson. Yeah, because Hawkinson.
Hawkinson, I think his lowest
Yeah.
output was like 7.9.
But
Yeah.
both of them are playing. They're playing each other, Hawkinson and Hurst, and that's
It's a
a
tight
high
match.
scoring game. So I mean, it could,
Yeah.
you always want to put your guys in there that have had a chance to get in the shootout.
So you put Laviska Shenault Jr. in there, you get an additional 9.5. So you bump up his live projection, let's say to what, 106?
I don't know calculation, man.
I am good at calculation. You got 123 versus 106. So with that being said, Brian, who are you going to take in the fantasy phenoms versus those?
I just see too much good for Ryan.
Sorry.
Too much good for Ryan. I think Ryan's got this week
Let me put that up.
fairly
Right.
easy.
No, taking Ryan. Jake, fantasy phenoms versus the 08 Lions. Who you take?
No offense, Ryan. I think Michael's going to make this a close matchup, but I'm going to go with Ralph Goodell.
Well,
He
there's
didn't
no offense.
I was just
That's
trying to
why
say-
he prefaced it with no offense. Everybody thinks you're going to say something offensive.
Yep.
All
But
right.
I do think it will be a closer matchup because he's got some boom potential.
Okay.
Potential.
Fantasy phenoms versus 08 Lions. I'll go to you last since you're involved in it.
Okay.
I'll take. We'll take the fantasy phenoms here. We'll take the fantasy phenoms of Ryan's team.
Yeah, we'll sweep it.
We'll sweep it.
I don't have confidence, but I got confidence. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Did y'all feel?
Yeah, feel. Hey, let's take a moment and I think we need to do this because
Doing a funeral?
well, not a funeral. Well, I
Memorial
guess
silence?
no. This is more for better days. Michael was convinced that he wasn't going to win a game. He named his team the 08 Lions.
He did.
And Michael picked up a win in a close one.
He sneaks out a win against him.
Then he's right
It's
back
like
in it,
Michael
dude.
Awards, like I was
He's
saying
right
earlier.
back
Yeah.
freaking in it.
I'm going to say I called Michael winning last week, and it happened. And I said I just don't want his first win to be against me. But I did say that if he didn't win that week, he was going to beat me this week. So hopefully with that one off the –
Because you
he
got him.
he got that monkey off his back. He's good to go now.
Proud of you, Ryan. Proud of you.
I'm proud of Michael.
I'm proud of Michael.
We're all a little proud.
All right, so let's go to our third matchup for this week. So this week for our third matchup, we got. Oh, I just clicked on the same matchup. We've got. I got to go.
Oh,
Bite some time. Tell a joke. Anybody got any stand-up material? Nobody. You got something?
A good
I-
calculation.
I don't want you going. I don't want you doing improv. I don't want you doing
He's
improv.
a deacon at his church. Go to him.
All right, you got a good joke?
Yeah.
He's just as bad as me. Go to him.
I'm good at calculations.
That wasn't a joke. I was being serious. All right, so our third matchup involves me, JT, Colton Personality, versus Steve Reitmeyer of Bye Week. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to let you guys talk about this one. I'm going to take my hand away. All right, so what you say?
Reitmeyer's just got the superior team here. I mean, I think that goes without saying.
In all
don't you?
aspects.
Go ahead and put your picks in. All three go right by.
Reitmeyer
Yep,
seems kind of like
alright.
a ventilator.
Next matchup.
Looks like the Buys have it.
This quarterback matchup is going to be insane.
Insane in the membrane.
I think you'll lose the quarterback matchup this week.
Think so?
I do.
I do. It's
Jets are bad.
Yeah.
Denver's not great, but
No.
Jets are bad.
Yeah.
Jets defense. I mean, the Denver's defense is okay. They said it's projected to be 23 degrees
Is it
in
really?
Denver. Yeah.
Wow.
So that means Pat Mahomes playing some cold weather that might run the ball more than they usually do.
AJ Green back in the lineup.
He can't quit. You can't quit him, even if you cut
Hey,
him.
look,
Man,
if
you
we-
cut him back.
Hold on. If we were going to do biggest headache for fantasy players,
Is that why
then
you
I was
wrote down
nominating
biggest headache?
myself for AJ Green, man. Because look,
Come
AJ
on,
Green
at
didn't
least you
have a good
dropped
week.
him.
Hold on. AJ Green didn't have a good week until I dropped him. And then they actually, the week I dropped him, they moved him around the field. And he has his best game and looks pretty decent.
They put him in the slot, and he was getting a lot of those Tyler Boyd targets.
Exactly.
I took
Exactly.
him before you.
Yeah, that's very true.
AJ Green was a late pick.
Yeah, I was about to say we got
Marquise.
we got Marquise Brown and T.Y. Hilton over here having an argument about
Boston
most.
Scott.
T.Y.
finally
hasn't
came
got
through
over
for
2
you.
points on the season.
I was going to
You
say that.
finally got your Boston Scott moment.
Finally,
The
dude.
redemption week for you. You had AJ Green. You drop him. You pick him back up.
Started.
Boston Scott. You drafted. You dropped him. You picked him back up.
Dude,
1 out of 2 is not going to be bad for you this week. Austin Scott had that touchdown
that
last night with like 40 seconds to go.
that was an 8:15 move.
Yeah.
Whatever
Oh,
time
was
that
it?
game started, I put him in at the last minute because I said, man, Waller's been good. Well, I don't need to start. And I said, man, I just got a feeling. I just got a feeling about Boston Scott.
And that feeling was terrible until 40
It
seconds
was,
to go in that
dude.
game.
But I'm telling you, dude, he that game-winning catch.
That was a fantastic throw where only he could catch it, and Boston Scott adjusted
One
to
arm
it like
it.
a wide receiver.
I'm not. Okay, I just want to make this really quick, but this is what I really do think. I think Boston Scott is he has playmaking ability. I don't know why they aren't using him a little bit more. Like even with Miles Sanders healthy,
I just want to
when
know
they don't have healthy
That's like the Mike
receivers, tight
Davis
ends.
kind of
I just
why
don't- I
is
don't get
Corey
that.
Clement still in the league? They have tried to make Corey Clement
I know.
a part of that offense for like 3 years now, and he's not effective.
I'm not saying like Boston Scott's like the next coming of
He's
great
not.
running back, but I don't know why he hadn't gotten a little bit more run than he has. That's all.
But and even when Miles Sanders is healthy, motion Boston Scott in the slot a little bit.
Yeah,
Miles Sanders is heads above everybody else.
he is. He's better. Yeah, he's better than Boston Scott.
Right. He's better than Boston, but he's not.
You know the one.
He's not your elite type running back.
Like I think.
So Boston Scott should get more burn.
Just considering, especially since everybody on Philly's hurt.
Yeah, why are they
That's
trying to
my
run 3 or 4 wide receiver sets when you only got like 2 decent
Yeah,
ones?
that's what I don't get. That's my only thing about it.
The one that I'm kind of interested to see out of both matchup here is Swift.
Yep.
Huge week
He
last
did.
week.
He did.
Huge week. Does he build on this, or was it kind of a flash in a pan kind of situation? He kind of goes back.
He's had a weird season, man.
Yes.
Weird
Very,
season.
very weird.
He saw his most rushing attempts last week. Saw 14, 116 and 2 touchdowns.
He has been kind of the last 2 games because he had a bye week in week 5, but 13.2 followed by 25.8.
His in week 4, they came more so of the receiving variety. But yeah, I mean,
Reitmeyer
it's kinda
has
interesting to see
2
that.
running backs from 2 of the most frustrating backfields in the league with the Rams
Name
and the
them.
Lions.
Oh, you did. All right. Never mind. All right.
Because, I mean, like Swift and Peterson, they almost split equally last week,
Yeah,
but
they did.
Swift
To
was
the
more
Bengals.
productive
Swift,
and
yeah.
had scored twice, where Peterson only scored once. And then Henderson is just a flip of the coin whether they're going to go Brown or him.
It's a good matchup for him this week, though, against Atlanta.
Swift is. Henderson's is not so much.
No, I was still referring to Swift against Atlanta. I think his point production will be higher than his prediction.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I can
think
see
so,
his
too.
other 2 running backs being below their projections.
Yes, sir.
I think Ebron's not going to score 7. He's either going to score like 12 because he scores a touchdown.
I think even
or
if
he's
he
gonna
scores a
score-
touchdown, it's going to be 7 or 8.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think he's either going to score 12 or like 2.
I don't think he gets 50
You got a
yards.
lot riding on this Cleveland Cincinnati game.
Yeah, I do.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4 people in the one game. There you go.
Look, I don't know what you're
And you're-
surprised about.
the rematch of Ohio.
Your
And if you
big,
get a high scoring fair, could hurt you.
one of your
It
big,
worked out last time. This was the last time they played was my last win, week 2.
Yeah.
your big boom guy is not have a very good matchup.
No, you got
Henry versus Pittsburgh.
an unstoppable force, an immovable object.
I'm excited to see what happens.
That's
I'm really
gonna be a good
excited.
game.
I'm really excited for that
That's gonna
game.
be a good game.
That's all right. So the
Yeah.
winner of undefeated teams this late in the season, so both of them are 5-0.
Right.
The winner of those games,
Yeah.
I saw some Sports Center earlier. They were saying that.
You still watch Sports Center?
Proud of you.
I mean,
That's cute.
I just bought Hulu Live.
Oh, you want to get rid of that?
Oh, Hulu does have live sports. I heard that the other day.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's on there. Your
Yeah.
boy,
My
your boy.
My boy.
Yeah.
Did you see what I sent you the other day?
I did. That was interesting. That was an interesting stat line. Anyways, they were saying that the winner of those games have made it to the Super Bowl every single time.
You want to know
Seriously.
why?
I can
Most
see
of
that.
those games have the New England Patriots in them almost every
Or
year.
the Colts.
The Colts,
For,
yeah.
for there for a while.
Right.
So I'm interested in seeing that game. Really, really interested.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about it on Monday or
Mhm.
last week's pod. We were talking about, is Tennessee the best team in the league? And I said, if not Tennessee, it's Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
So, and they're playing each other this week. So I think it's going
Do
to.
you think there's any other team that has like a case to be made there? Does
The
Seattle
Chiefs
have
and
that case?
Chiefs. Seahawks defense is not good because Tennessee's defense is average, but their
Yeah.
offenses look fantastic. Pittsburgh's look good on both sides of the ball. Kansas City's look good for the most part on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I'll worry about Seattle for the same reason.
But Seattle's defense, can Russ do this every week?
Yeah.
I've got you this week.
Okay. I appreciate that, Brian. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Because I need a win right now.
We all do, brother.
I have the longest losing streak in fantasy football.
Give me CM Punk as well.
All right, that's 2 for JT. Jake, I'm already putting you down right there. Because I know you gotta be different. No, you gotta be different.
I don't know why you're trying to change me up.
No, contrary.
I don't like his running. I mean, other than Swift, I don't like his running back
See, so who you pick?
matchups at all.
I think the matchup is average.
Reverse psychology. Got him.
Well, I really don't. I think Henderson and Montgomery do not meet their projections.
That was my
and Henry, Hunt, and Scott having a big game for you. That separated it for me. I think his receivers are better than yours.
Without a doubt.
Okay,
Yeah, but
pick a team, but their receivers are better than mine.
I can make an
I don't know.
argument.
We already got gripes there.
All right, reverse psychology, Brian. I did it again.
My
But
receivers are far better than yours.
I know.
You kill him with Kelsey. You kill him with Kelsey, and then if it's a wash at the
with kindness.
quarterback, if it's a wash there, I just think your biggest gap with the running backs is gonna give you the edge.
I hope so.
Your quarterback play is going to dictate a lot of that week. Between two of y'all.
Between two of us,
Yeah.
I think so.
If there's a big gap between the two of y'all at quarterback, that could swing it. If Mahomes puts up 15, Allen could have that blowout.
See, I feel like
give him a shield.
Josh Allen might be more impactful in a blowout because he's a lot of the running game.
Yeah, he's going to run that
Where
ball.
Mahomes, if they get up big, they got plenty of toys now at running game to kind of.
If they were to get up, I think they'd get Le'Veon carries.
Yeah,
But this is their first cold game of the season, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to play a part.
Yeah. I can definitely see what y'all are saying.
But yeah, sticking with you.
All right, I'm going to pick me as well. I think I feel good about that Boston Scott pick, man.
Have we had any splits so far?
Not yet. They're going to come. They're coming in these next two. I can guarantee it. All right.
Fortune teller old Trogdon over there.
Our fourth matchup, we have victim of the system. Oh no, excuse me.
No, we
almost
don't.
messed up.
No, we
I can't read. I can't do calculation. We've got Autobahn time. Josh Broach versus Score. Andrew Spirit. I think this is where things are going to get a little different.
Yes, sir.
She's dicey.
All right.
Slicing.
So right now we have a pretty close matchup. Yahoo has this as 46%, 54% in favor of Scorp, 122 to 127. Okay, Jake, we've talked about Scorp's team already and what we like about it, what we think about it in the long run. What are you seeing from Broach's team right here?
What Cam Newton is going to show up early in the season, lighting it up. COVID, there was a bad week before COVID, then COVID struck, and he hasn't really had a big game since.
No.
He needs to break back out because he's a boom guy for Broach. You're hoping Adams. I predicted him having a big week last week, and it didn't really happen. So, maybe his targets go up in a shootout with Houston's horrible defense. Tyler Lockett, I guarantee you that game's going to be pretty high scoring. If you're talking about daily fantasy stacks, there's one that I would look at that game.
He's one in need of a big bounce back too.
Yeah, and I think the more shade defenses start going towards DK, he will take advantage of the one.
All right,
Don't
question. Who does Patrick Peterson shadow? Metcalf or Lockett? Or does he shadow or does he just stay on one side?
If he did shadow, it'd be DK because that's a better matchup for him anyways.
Okay.
And then Cooper ended up just because of a late touchdown, but man, he looked frustrated up until that. Dallas is hoping a little bit more rhythm kind of occurs. Jacobs has got a tough matchup. I can't say anything about Gurley because he just keeps doing it. I'm not saying anything about Kirk because he pisses me off. But then I really love Scorp's running backs this week. I think those are really good matchups.
Yeah.
Plenty children.
If you're telling me where's the difference set, I feel like even receivers, that'll be a fun matchup across the board.
I think
matchup for matchup would be a good one.
I think it will be because their teams are kind of built similarly.
I see more big plays from Scorp's running backs than I do from Broach's. Like what I mean by bigs, even with Todd Gurley going off, he might get 18. Where I could look at the other side and like Davis could get like 25, Kamara could go for 30. Like I see a bigger boom on his 2 running backs than I do on Broach's
And then
side.
that flex spot makes a difference.
Yeah, I think
that
the
makes
differences between their teams are really kind of comes down to that flex spot. Honestly, really the biggest, I guess, point disparities are between flex and defense.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you got that cold game we were just talking about, so that could play in on that defense part.
it could.
And Tampa, I would not be surprised if they just shut down Vegas.
Vegas did just lose, like,
their entire offensive line right
they
now.
should be able to play.
Maybe,
but they're on lockdown right now.
Yeah.
COVID?
That's scary. That's the reason I didn't
The
start
whole
Darren
five.
Waller, because I was
Yeah.
scared about that. But, dude,
That's the
you never
craziest thing I ever heard when I saw that break across.
Yeah, because like that one, the right tackle got it, and they're like, "Well, they're just going to quarantine all 5 of them." You know how pissed they are at that dude.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Brian, when you look at this matchup, the Scorp versus Autobahn time matchup, I don't know what you seeing. What do you see when you look at this?
I'm gonna go ahead and give you the whole thing. I'm gonna pick Scorp to win. The one thing that would change my mind, and I would have picked Broach, is if he started Aaron Rodgers over Cam. And I think he
shootout
should.
game. Yeah, I see what
think
you're
he
saying
should.
there.
And then you got that double up with Devontae Adams. I mean,
Double
he's leaving
up.
points on the bench.
Good
I
point,
mean,
Roberts.
yeah, I think he's messing up and not doing that. That could end up being the difference in the week. I'm with Jake. The running back matchup, you couldn't ask for a better week for your running backs. Kamara going against Carolina, I think Kamara puts up 30. And outside of that, Christian Kirk, I don't know. I don't know.
Brian, do you have a projection on how many points Devontae Adams is going to get? Like a range?
16.7.
Okay. Last week you said between 27 and no more than 36. I think the dude put up like 8.
Really?
9.
Yeah.
It
It was an
Yeah.
odd.
It's a bounce back.
I love it though. It's like you said it with such
Put
conviction.
up-
And the bad thing is, we all agreed with you.
Yeah,
We all thought he was going to have a great week.
You give me that 9 times out of 10, I'll get that right.
That
Not
is
today.
funny.
Not tonight.
I'm going to skip Ryan real quick because I'm going to go in complete agreement with Brian. Everything he just said is exactly what I'm thinking too. I really like the Rodgers call. I didn't scroll down enough to see his bench. I would definitely have Rodgers in there in a game I think could be a shootout. But if Cam runs in a touchdown or two,
he's
change
banking on San Fran's defense being just tore up.
Which what I mean? Is this a good matchup for Cam then?
We don't know.
It
Could
should
it
be,
be?
but look, we know Cam.
It's
Cam
hard
after
to-
missing games doesn't come back strong.
It's hard to say Cam's got a good matchup or bad matchup just because of his rushing ability. It
Yeah.
could be a bad matchup on paper for
But-
quarterbacks,
Yeah.
but he's not a normal quarterback.
I did hear a mic'd up segment on, it might have been Bleacher Report or something, and it was Belichick this past week, and they were telling him to challenge something, and he goes, "All right," and reaches into his sock and drops it, and he walks back, doesn't say anything, and Newton's over there like throwing. He goes, "Cam, you did reach that ball across, right?" And he looks at him and goes, "Yes, sir," and he goes, "That's what I thought." He said it so nonchalant, just sits there, and then the ref starts talking. He says, "Just tell me it's a touchdown," and says it just like so Belichick, like with no emotion, just. I don't know. It was funny to me because he's so monotone sometimes when he talks.
All the time.
Yeah.
Scorp gets a bad game out of Herbert, it ruin everything.
Which he's not.
Tight
He's throwing
week.
balls to Mike Williams
Tight week, Scorp going to
and
win
to
it.
his running back.
All right, you're
Justin
taking
Jackson.
score, Jake. You're taking score, Ryan. What are you thinking, man?
I would bench Claypool for Allen Robinson, and I'm gonna go Broach.
Going Broach.
Yeah.
What's the point disparity like?
Right now, projection's 5.
I know that.
Oh, I think it's gonna be a close matchup.
Okay.
What made you
And
go
I-
that way, if you don't mind?
I don't know.
Tunyon? Because
Okay,
now
I
we
mean,
now we
I'm
know
trying
his
to get-
name.
I've been trying to figure out this for years.
No,
What
I
made
just
you go
feel
this
like
way?
I feel like Devontae Adams is gonna go
To bounce
between
back?
27 and 36. And I feel like every podcast, Broach has made a change to his lineup that we have said. I don't know if he's listening or not. But I feel like Aaron Rodgers will be in a starting lineup.
Okay.
And
'cause
maybe
I
he's
was
playing
thinking the
mind
same
games with
thing.
school.
And Kyler Murray has been spreading the ball around more so than just throwing 20 targets to Hopkins, and Kirk's looked good for 2 or 3 straight weeks.
I was going to say the same thing you just did. I think that Cam Newton actually does come out of his lineup for Rodgers.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good matchup. And I was going to go Broach as well. I think again, I still think he has the most potential. I think he's going to be a playoff team. He's going to have a tough team to beat down the stretch. But in this, I see Devontae Adams putting up that 27 to
36.
Y'all might kiss my ass.
Honestly, I could see
I
Tyler.
literally do. I think that was a good projection. It just happened to be a week early.
I could see Tyler Lockett outscoring DK Metcalf this week, primarily because Tyler Lockett hasn't been necessarily too involved in the offense, and I could see them really trying to get him back involved. Josh Jacobs is the one that I'm really kind of looking at.
Tampa Bay shut down Aaron Jones last week. That's a good run defense.
Yeah, it is. It is. Josh Jacobs is the one that has me a little bit worried, but I have a lot of faith in Josh Jacobs and sticking my bold prediction, thinking Josh Jacobs will be a top 3 running back. I feel like I got to take Broach in this matchup.
Yep.
So I'm
Take a breath at Alder, man.
That's how I teach. I just
All right, he's gonna keep talking till he passes out.
then I do it, and then they leave. All right. Well, you know what that takes us to, gentlemen.
Is it that time already?
It's almost about that time.
Daggum, DeAndre shout out. Almost about that time.
You think he's listening to this?
Fromer's listening to him.
Daggum.
That's true. All right. Now, everybody's been waiting for.
Yeah.
Our
I don't like you, man.
Our Week 7 fantasy football matchup of the week. Terd Sandwiches, Jake Ruth versus victim of the system.
Man, that was loud.
Man, Yahoo couldn't call it any closer than this. 40. I guess they could.
They could have said
50-50. Okay. We got 49 to 51. Looking at the percentage, Jake Terd Sandwiches versus Brian, victim of the system. Okay, so you know what we do with matchup of the week.
What's that?
We go position by position.
Yeah, we do.
So Ryan, me and you aren't involved in this, so we're going to take the front end up. We're going to let these two have the back end.
That's what I hear they like anyway, so we'll do that.
All right, Kyler Murray, Russell
I'm
Wilson.
used to that. That's fine.
Give me some of your analysis.
Well, Bob, thank you for that. I'm gonna say,
Playing each other.
yeah.
Not technically.
I mean, it is a head-to-head
Not
match. It's a head-to-head
It's technically
matchup.
all the way
Same.
across.
Well, they don't play each other.
Their teams do,
Their teams do, but they don't.
but they're a part of that team.
I think Kyler
That's why
Murray's
it's
been
kind of technically, but not technically.
Kyler Murray's been struggling a little bit passing past couple weeks, but the dude is just getting 70 to 100 rushing yards. I feel like every single week, so that gives him a good baseline. And going against the Seattle defense, I'm gonna give Kyler the slight edge, but Russell Wilson's just been Russell Wilson. He's been balling. But maybe this is the time where they try to keep Kyler Murray off the field, so maybe they run the ball a little bit more. But that's not been their forte so far this year. So I think that's going to be very close to call, but I'll give a little bit of an edge to Kyler, maybe like 1 or 2 points.
Okay. Kyler Murray is the number 1 quarterback fantasy-wise so far. Russell Wilson was, and then he hit his bye week.
Yeah.
So points per game, I believe Wilson just barely edges him out.
I think Dak's 1 and Russell's 2.
Yeah, Dak.
points
Yeah,
per
okay.
game, but
You're right.
Dak's out.
Dak is, but Dak is out. That's gonna be a good Sunday night of football right there.
I think even if it wasn't a COVID scare, I would rather see this game than Tampa Vegas.
I would too. I'm gonna take Russell Wilson in this. Russell Wilson's got 19 passing touchdowns on the year. He's on pace to set some records.
Yes.
I don't think Arizona's got necessarily the defense to stop Russell Wilson. I'm excited to see this.
I think they got a corner to stop one of their receivers, but not both.
And that's why I think that, I think that Lockett's going to be that guy because I do think that Patrick Peterson, I think DK's kind of
he's the alpha.
Yeah.
For sure. But Lockett's very productive.
Very much. So.
But them losing Chandler Jones, not being able to get the pass rush on Russ. Good Lord, that was hard to say. I'm about out of stroke. I think that's going to hurt them quite a bit.
Okay. All right. So you got Kyler, I got Russell.
Oh, is it our turn now?
I'm thinking.
That was front end. That's front end?
Yeah, now
That's
this is the back end.
right.
Oh, for each
matchup.
Right.
We leave it
Did
off.
we not talk about this?
I think
I think
thought we were
Russell
going to go
runs
through
it.
the whole thing, and then they were going to go through the whole
I think
thing.
Russell runs it a little bit more this week.
You taking Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Russell.
The Chris Brown out?
I think there's two different things to look at here. First off, if you're looking at matchup alone, Murray has the better matchup against Seattle's defense.
Yep.
But if you're also looking at it, Wilson's had 2 weeks to prepare for this game because he was on bye last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to call wash. I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring affair.
It will be.
I do like the number 2 more for Seattle because I feel like, Murray's been trying to spread out more. But
Is that
Lockett's
because
better.
you just have a vendetta against Christian Kirk?
Yes. I'll admit it.
It's true, though.
But even the running game, I think, has been more consistent for Seattle. And even getting it involved in the passing game has been better.
I mean, Arizona's been running it more, but they've been very ineffective doing so.
So I'd like to say wash, but I think I'm going to say Wilson as well here.
Okay.
I just think if his team gets down, Wilson, especially fourth quarter, what he did, 2 weeks ago, where he led them on the comeback.
On Sunday night or Monday night.
He went the heck off. Wilson's just in the zone right now. Not just from quarterback play, but winning games.
Yeah, I agree.
Just life in general. I mean, he's a great baseball player, phenomenal football player.
Both of them. Ain't that kind of cool? Both of them also.
Both of them
yeah,
baseball,
it is cool.
Both of them undersized
Doesn't
quarterbacks.
surprise me one bit.
They're very similar.
They are.
All right. Got A.J. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins. This one, I'll make it quick. I think A.J. Brown has been a huge lift to the Tennessee offense. A.J. Brown's looked great, but I can't pick it against DeAndre Hopkins. He's just
D-Hop going against Seattle.
I can't pick against him.
It might be the best matchup for a wide receiver of his caliber this week. I mean, it's just he's going to feast.
I like some A.J. Brown, but I can't.
I mean, A.J. Brown. The fact that A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf were teammates at Ole Miss and that team was terrible.
Was it really?
Shocking, yes.
Who was a quarterback?
What's his name?
Was a kid from
Chad Kelly was there for a year or
No.
two, and then there was somebody else after
God, it was
that.
another white quarterback.
He's not in the
That
NFL.
would around all the time. He got drafted.
I'm drawing a blank.
He's not in
Like,
the
he
NFL.
might have been like close to Mr. Irrelevant. Like he was drafted that late.
Yeah,
Is he in the NFL?
I think he's on a practice squad, but like
I don't-
those two guys on the same team, and they're very good receivers. But going against Pittsburgh is not
Not
a
ideal.
good matchup
Not
at
ideal.
all.
Yeah. So you take
Especially with Taylor Lewan towards ACL, so they don't have their left tackle going against Pittsburgh's pass rush.
Good point.
Might not have a lot of time to pass.
Taking D-Hop.
So I'm taking D-Hop.
Okay. Let's see. Jake.
I'll go first on this one. I think that Brown coming back has been a big lift. I think he's got a lot of red zone targets. Case in point, like even last week. I think in the Pittsburgh game, I think that's probably the game of the week right there.
For sure.
That'll be a great game to watch. I really hope CBS carries that at 1 o'clock if the Panthers are on Fox. So that's one game I would love to be able to watch. But as both of y'all mentioned, I always like looking at matchups. So just off talent alone, Hopkins is better, but especially against Seattle's defense, which I think is the number one.
It's the worst pass defense.
Yeah, the
in
worst
football.
pass defense in football. I think Hopkins could not only meet his projection, but exceed it quite easily.
I'm going to take Hop, but I think Pitt's going to make Tennessee throw it.
Mm-hmm.
So if Tannehill can be on his game, I think A.J. Brown could have a big week. And I think he could I don't think he'll catch Hop, but I think he could help Jay
He can
not
keep-
really get hurt from Hopkins having a big week.
He can somewhat keep
Right.
pace.
Yeah, I think he could, shrink the cut a little bit. So, I'm going to take Hop, but I think Brown could have a good week. I could see him beating his projection. I mean,
So you like the
Pitt's
cut of his
scary.
jib, huh?
He's got a good cut.
Got a good jib.
Great jib.
Great jib. Ryan Tannehill's looked good, and he's looked very good with A.J. Brown. Ryan, Calvin Ridley, CeeDee Lamb. Go.
Well, we all know Calvin Ridley is going to lead the league in touchdowns. I've said it, made that known, and put it out in the universe. You know I'm a good vibes guy. That's what I base my life off of. Sarcasm heavily influenced.
Okay.
I don't trust that Dallas offense right now. I just feel like it's a mess. I feel like
Do
they
you
don't
trust
have
that Dallas defense?
No.
Do you
I
trust
don't.
that Dallas coaching staff?
No.
Do you trust that Dallas concession stand?
Yeah, oh, buddy, do I?
But the cheerleaders.
But them
though.
cheerleaders, though. Yeah, I'm taking Calvin Ridley. I think he scores once, possibly twice against Detroit.
Possibly.
Because, with Julio back, that guy is just a touchdown machine.
Well, you saw what happened last week when they didn't double cover Julio.
Yeah.
Julio.
So he
Julio
showed
had
like
that Julio week.
I'm still the best receiver on this team, and that's not a question.
He's
It's
the
just-
best receiver in
it's not.
football.
Julio?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've said that, I think, ever since AB went crazy a couple of years ago. And even still, I think if I was building a team around Julio or Antonio Brown, I think I'd build around Julio.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be quick with this.
Quick with it.
Until Andy Dalton gets a feel of that offense, CeeDee Lamb's just going to be hard to trust, just based on quarterback play, because Dak was playing amongst the best in the league, and Andy Dalton looked like maybe one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen.
I feel
At least the other night.
I feel like CD will be a safe start, but he's not gonna win you a week with the way Andy Dalton played for a game and a half.
Yeah. So I'm taking Calvin Ridley. Simple.
Brian,
Ridley.
thank you, Brian.
Yep.
I still like CD's targets. I always kind of look at that. Even the last 2 weeks, he's had 10 and 11. So he's getting a lot of volume with that one. So I don't think it's where I don't trust CD because of targets. I think that's something big that I always look at, and he's playing in the slot.
You can't get catches without targets.
Yeah, so I like that aspect, but just for the sheer fact of, again, talent alone, I think Detroit will come out and say Julio's not going to beat us, so Ridley's going to have a bunch of favorable one-on-ones. Ridley wins it. But I don't think CD – I think CD meets his projection.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
I mean, I think he's going to get around between like 9 and 12, but I think Calvin, like I said, I think he'll have 20 or above.
Okay. Fair enough.
Bold prediction there, right? At least I went out on a limb last week.
Oh, man. Let's look at that.
I didn't give it up. Like, he's not going to have more than 29, but he's going to have at least 19.
Let's look at that wide receiver 3 matchup. Juju Smith-Schuster versus Chris Godwin.
Godwin, I'm done.
Well, it was my turn.
I'm not going to have any analysis. I'm just picking Godwin.
I got to see. I like Juju a lot. I think Juju's very talented, but I kind of got to see it again from Juju before I could pick him in this matchup. I'm not even saying that Godwin's like got a stranglehold on it, because I could definitely see Juju having a big game. But it just seems like when Deontay Johnson went out, that's when I thought Juju would. I don't know if Juju's ever going to be a number 1. Maybe he's just a number 2. I don't know.
He had 166 targets like 2 or 3 years
with
ago.
Antonio Brown. Yeah.
166 is a number 2 wide receiver, and he was supposed to be the 1 now, and it's just not.
That's what I just don't know.
It's not materializing.
I've still got
Handle the
faith in
pressure.
I
Oh,
don't
no, it's just not.
I don't think he can get open against man coverage.
Yeah,
They're putting
that's
best
more so what
corners
I
on him.
think.
I think if he ever goes against his home team again, he'll eat.
I do too.
I don't know what Tennessee runs, so I can't tell you that.
I just I just gotta
I know
see.
they got lit up last week.
I just gotta see something.
Prove it.
Yeah, I like you, Juju. I'm on your side. I'm rooting for you, but I just gotta see it. So I'm gonna take Godwin.
I don't know if I'm going to start Juju. I do this every week because I keep saying Tim
Patrick, man.
and I won't do it. I can't pull a trigger. I do like the fact they might get down early, but it is supposed to be kind of a cold game. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous about that one. And like we keep saying, Tennessee got lit up last week through the air. Juju, maybe with both receivers on the outside and teams starting to kind of play more to Claypool and Johnson, he might be able to work some underneaths, not against like a nickel corner other than the number 1 corner.
Right.
And maybe he breaks out. To me, the reason why I don't want to put Juju down there, even though he hasn't done anything, it's just because when he does break out, I don't want him to be on my bench.
Yep.
That's my fear with it. And I think Brian will even kind of testify to this one. Like, Godwin's been out for a long time. Last week, it didn't look like him and Brady were in a very good rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, I think Godwin's the better receiver. And I think I don't trust Juju, so I go Godwin. But it could be where that matchup's a lot closer than what we kind of think in the moment.
They both could disappoint.
Yes.
Is a possibility based off of trends.
That's what I'm saying. They both
If Godwin does what he was supposed to do, I don't think Antonio Brown goes to Tampa.
That's true.
I don't think Tampa would have even taken
Do
a
you
look
think
at
they're
it.
kind of worried about his hamstring and maybe that had something to do with it?
There's something. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's a physical element. I don't know. But
Well, if they're worried about mental ailments, they wouldn't have signed Antonio Brown. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. But, I mean, it's like the hot crazy skill for females.
Where's that Mendoza line's all we're trying to figure out.
Production.
Mendoza line. It's important to
So-
know, boys.
I think Godwin has a good week this week because he is pretty much playing for his job.
You think he's playing for his job?
I do. I really do.
Oh, wow.
Who is Godwin or Smith-Schuster?
Godwin.
Because I think Smith-Schuster is too.
Oh, yeah.
There's a possibility they go
No,
Johnson.
they're both in the same
They
boat.
could go
with this.
Johnson, Claypool on the outside, and
Yeah.
James Washington
Because,
across the
I
slot.
mean, we keep waiting. Me personally, I keep waiting for Claypool to have that fall
And
off. I mean, and he had. He's still doing. What are you looking at?
Thinking,
Screw
if
him,
they're
man.
both playing for their jobs, could this make it the battle of the bums?
Could. It really could.
the Brazilian.
Huh?
I don't think.
Brazilians have nice honeys.
Oh.
Like you didn't know. So I'm gonna say Godwin does have a good week this week, but I mean this matchup right here is a toss up. This could be the make or break between the two of us for this week.
I think there's something else to kind of go off of what y'all were just saying, but I'm gonna go the opposite perspective. I think the addition of Brown could take attention off Godwin and maybe loosen him up and get some more favorable matchups. And I think Smith-Schuster's kind of proved he isn't the number one, but maybe with other teams kind of realizing that and realizing that offense is putting up more points with Claypool and Johnson, gets more favorable matchups in the slot. And if safeties start bailing on top, he could start becoming productive. So I think both of them are looking for emergence of other guys to take pressure off of them, and maybe their production matches that. I don't think they ever live up to where they were drafted this year.
They need a spark some way.
Yeah, I think they're both looking for something. Which one gets it? Or do neither one of them get them, and me and Brian both suck at wide receiver 3?
That's
a
both are huge possibilities.
Yeah.
I think his suck, like Godwin's suck game, is going to be better than Juju's. And I think his breakout game is better than Juju's. I'm just hoping Juju has his breakout game and Godwin doesn't from a matchup standpoint.
Matchup point, yeah.
Let's do that RB1. So we got Jake with Ezekiel Elliott going against Washington, Melvin Gordon for Brian going against KC.
Go ahead, JT.
Okay, I'll take Zeke in this matchup. Melvin Gordon, I think I think it's just tough to trust Melvin Gordon, not because he hasn't been good in Philip Lindsay's absence, but because he picked up that DUI. I think that
Alcoholic.
I really do think that really
Does the team
puts,
not trust him?
right. That's my
that's a
thing.
big-
Is
Was
locker
he
room, man.
really sick last week? When
No,
they said
I don't
sat
think
up
he
and
was.
sick?
No, I don't think he was.
I think they
sick.
benched him.
I do too.
And Philip Lindsay, I think, had 23
It
carries
ran for
like 100
101.
something.
Yeah, ran for 101.
Looked good.
Melvin
But we
Gordon.
said that when they signed Melvin Gordon. I didn't
Philip
understand.
Lindsay has never looked bad. They just don't give him the full carry.
I think Melvin Gordon shot himself in the foot
Oh yeah.
with that
That
DUI.
was
really
Placico in the leg.
Yep.
I'm not saying that Melvin Gordon could still score 10 points this week, but I'm a little nervous about Melvin Gordon, and I just can't take him over Zeke, especially not after what events have transpired.
I think Zeke's going to be more and more important in that offense without Dak. And we saw it a little bit last week, even if he wasn't getting as many carries. I think he led the team in targets. I think he had like 11 or 12 targets or something last week. And I think it's just going to be, well, especially with that Washington defensive line, which is the strength of the Washington's team, he's probably going to get dump offs like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So even if he doesn't rush for a ton because that offensive line's hurt, he's going to get short little passes and get you a lot of catches and some receiving yards, probably score a touchdown or two.
Him and CD both had 11 targets last week.
Okay, yeah, so there you go.
All right. So, Brian and Jake, what are your thoughts on this? Brian, I'll go with you first.
Zeke, not even close.
Okay. Jake?
I agree with what you said, Trogdon, about Gordon. I wonder what impact that will have with his DWI and the fact that they could get down quick and have to turn to throwing the ball, which makes me think about Tim Patrick again. I know I keep mentioning his name in this podcast.
Yeah.
Also, I think something else important to remember is that Dallas got down quick last week. I don't know if Washington will get up quick on them. Maybe it allows them for once to establish a running game. And I think he might be a little bit more possessed than usual because he had a bad game with putting the ball on the ground. Yeah. And I think if you looked at him late in the game, I mean, it looked like his eyes were glazed over. Like it almost looked like he was like emotional a little bit. Like yeah. And well, I mean, maybe that gets in his head that he's put on the ground. But then their great ones. They come back the next week like, I'm going to show you something. All right.
Yeah.
And shut up like the people that were really kind of bashing him after that game.
Silence the critics.
Yeah. So I think Dallas should, again, this is me being a little biased. I think Dallas should really establish the running game early. I think Zeke will run like a man possessed a little bit. And I think he could have a big week. And I just don't trust Melvin Gordon. I don't like that matchup. So I'm going to go Zeke as well.
Looking at RB2, so we got Justin Jackson versus James Robinson. Ryan, all right, there's a Charger in this matchup. So I'm going to you.
There is a Charger,
There's
a
two of them.
Northwestern Charger. I'm gonna go.
Other side of town.
Yeah, I'm going upside of town. I'm gonna take Justin Jackson.
I'll get it.
That's right.
Northwestern University.
Yes,
I was
Justin
thinking-
Jackson went to Northwestern.
Are they the Chargers?
No, he went to Northwestern and he plays for the Chargers, so he's a Northwestern Charger.
Look, I mean, you might not watch college football, but you have to know universities.
I don't know what Northwestern's mascot is.
Well, that's okay.
I think it might be a Husky.
I don't even know.
Okay,
They're purple.
that's what I thought he was saying.
They're purple.
That's okay. All right.
They are
Who you taking?
I said I'm taking Justin Jackson
Sorry, I got thrown off, dude. I was sitting there.
Is that Charger bias?
for sure, 100%. But
All
I think they're going to try to establish the run, and I don't think Jacksonville can stop it.
Okay. This is a.
Whereas the Chargers
They
are
are
supposed to be
bad, right?
getting half of their defensive line off of IR back.
Okay.
They're supposed to be getting Justin Jones and Melvin Ingram back this week. The Chargers are
Oh, I picked
Supposed to
them
be.
up.
supposed to be. So
Uh,
if that happens, I think Robinson might. He's not going to struggle. He's going to score. But I think Justin Jackson has a chance to establish himself completely ahead of Joshua Kelly.
I'm interested in this matchup. Again, considering it is in that RB2 slot, and again, both teams are playing each other. I do not have a Charger bias. I don't have a Jacksonville
You need
bias
one.
either.
You need one.
But I like what I've seen from James Robinson so far. Not saying that Justin Jackson wasn't good last week, or excuse me,
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, because he did look like the better running back over Josh Kelly. I'm just going to go with the safer pick here and go James Robinson because I know his role.
If we're talking about Mr. Consistency, like we were talking about earlier, James Robinson's been solid every
He has
single
been
game.
solid. He's been solid. Brian.
I think the Chargers might give a couple guys some looks at running back during the game. I think they might split the carries up a little bit more. So I'm going to go Robinson just on the sole fact he's pretty much all Jacksonville's got.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Jake.
I agree with the splitting of carries a little bit. That's one of the reasons I picked up Kelly, and he was questionable with kind of a knee, but apparently he was fine. The big difference between him and Kelly is that he fits a lot more of that Eckler role. He is a great pass catcher. He got targeted quite a bit last week, and if there's one thing I did notice when Eckler was in with Herbert is that he checks it down a lot.
Yep.
He looks deep ball, and then he looks running back. So that could be something where he kind of makes up maybe a touchdown by getting like 6 or 7 receptions kind of in there. And if he breaks one for a touchdown, do it. I always like looking at the Fearless forecast because these are kind of like a group of guys like us that sit around and kind of talk about what they think the players will do. And they have him with 105 total yards and a touchdown on their projection with 17.5, which is way better than his 9.23. But Robertson's kind of running unopposed there.
Yep.
So that's what Brian had kind of said. I think that might separate them a little bit. But I'm interested to see with the Chargers having a defense up front that's healthy. You know, they were
It'd be
supposed to be
nice.
one of the best defenses in the league this year. And they got some dudes up front. So could they make his life complicated? I think it's going to be a
Hope so.
close matchup, but I'm going to just take Robinson.
Okay.
Y'all need some Charger bias, boys. I'm just saying.
Sorry, it ain't going to happen. All right, next tight end matchup. We got another Charger in this matchup.
How about that?
All right, Ryan, to you. Hunter Henry, George Kittle, who you taking? You taking Hunter Henry?
You can't take Charger bias here, boys. You got to go Kittle. Even though Hunter Henry is the best tight end in football, it's without a question. He just doesn't have the matchup here. You know, good job against tight ends, right?
Yeah.
They're not. It's Kittle.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like Belichick, if him and his wife have another kid, they might name him George Kittle Belichick. If you've heard what he's been talking about, I don't know if it's a shot at Gronkowski, but the way Belichick's been talking about George Kittle this week,
I'll have to listen.
So look that up after the
I have to listen to that. I think Hunter Henry's in that range of like maybe 7 to 10 tight end.
Needs to score a touchdown.
Yeah,
in
needs to
double
score a
digits.
touchdown, but does have some value even if he doesn't score a touchdown.
For sure.
George Kittle is not in that 7 to 10 range. He is in that 1 to 2
He's in that
range.
7 to 10 target range.
Yeah, he's in that 1 to 2 range. If he plays a full game, he's going to be more than likely one of the top 2 highest scoring tight ends. I'm taking George Kittle, and I feel good about it, Ryan.
You should.
Jake.
Mic drop.
I do not like the matchup. If I saw anything earlier in the year with JT's tight end, Waller going against New England, one thing that Belichick does is saying we are going to take away one aspect of a team.
Yep.
And if I'm taking away something from San Francisco, especially with the running game being a little banged up right now,
I would take away the
I would take away probably Kittle. Now, I'm hoping he takes away the running game and Kittle has a big game. I don't know how – this is me not knowing enough right now about Henry's relationship or how it's looked with Herbert. I've seen Herbert take more deep shots, especially to Mike Williams, and then his underneath guys, more Keenan Allen. Because of that, I feel like Henry hasn't got as much looks, and that kind of hurts his value.
Yep.
So just off talent and then like targets, I'm going to take Kittle.
Okay. Big Rob.
George Kittle.
Next matchup.
Look what we have here, boys.
Ryan. Oh,
Robbie.
We're going to the
we
NBA
yeah,
Robbie.
okay. Robbie Anderson
versus Mo Williams.
taking Ryan Anderson. Robbie Anderson versus Mike Williams. Ryan.
Mike Williams, he's going to score
Another
at
charge.
least a 30-yard bomb this year.
Oh,
I mean,
this year he may.
He got 2 of them
Boy,
last.
you were pulling in bold predictions after
All right,
the year,
well, if
tonight.
we're going to go bias, I'm going to go Robbie Anderson.
You would.
Dude, Robbie Anderson's look really good, man.
Mike
I did
Williams.
not expect that. Brian, you definitely changed my mind on that because you took him earlier than I thought. I didn't know if he'd get drafted. You took him a little bit earlier than I anticipated. Anybody maybe taking a shot on him? Dude, you're right, man. I like me some Robbie Anderson. Dude, I've been watching a lot of Carolina games with my brother, and we're both like, man, how's this dude doing what he's doing? Because he's tall, he's skinny, he looks like he would get just torn in half after every time he gets tackled.
He was very good with the Jets before Adam Gase got there.
Yeah. It just seemed like he was.
And
Just,
it
I
just
thought
looked
he
like
was
his
a
career
one.
was done.
I thought he was a one-trick pony. Though.
Yeah.
I thought he was just a deep guy, but he's not.
I thought he was
He's
Ted
playing-
Ginn, but he's not. Ted
He's
Ginn.
not. He runs the whole route tree.
Very clean.
Yeah, very,
And
very
again,
sharp.
he's tall, skinny. I thought he'd get hurt,
He's
and
got a lot of speed.
he looks good. Dude.
He's
Taking
quick.
Robbie Anderson, Sir Per.
Is it a bear?
Agrees.
Is it a Panther?
That was funny.
We don't know.
Jake, Robbie Anderson, Mike Williams. Who you take?
I feel like I'll get either good production out of Jackson because they'll be up and running the ball, and he might get a couple more touches this way, or it's a closer game and Mike Williams has the potential for a bomb. That being said, I feel like Jackson will have the better game. Mike Williams is going to be reliant upon a deep ball, and if he doesn't get it, he's kind of a bust option.
already guaranteed it.
I'm going to take Robbie Anderson because he's more consistent than Mike Williams.
That's what we call that hedging your bet. Hedging your bet.
Yes, that's exactly what I was doing.
You taking
I don't
both
have-
of them.
I have a lot of people on buy too, so I didn't have a lot of other options.
Now, if the Chargers just suck, Jake, your matchup's just.
I'm done.
But
I'm
it ain't
done.
happening.
I would say that.
Coming off of-
I like them.
We got this week,
I like them
30
coming off
yards
bye,
before the end of
too.
the year.
Hey, you get a pool.
Get a pool. You know where they got a lot of pools? LA. Get a pool.
Teams that come off buys are usually a little bit more
Where are we
healthy,
going
and
tonight,
they have 2
man?
weeks to prepare. So I like that.
What are we
Yeah.
doing here? Where are we? It's the whole
You
thing.
want to get a pool?
Get the pool.
All right, who you got? Mike Williams, Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson.
All right, lastly, that takes us to our defenses. Oh, God. Jake.
They were all on his bench last week when they were on a bye. You put them all in.
You too, though. You're just as guilty. You've got one.
I know.
You got one.
I could take
I know,
them.
but
I
you
can take
just-
them all
You
set.
keep these freaking Chargers in your lineup, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Ryan. The Chargers versus Chicago.
I
Who
don't
you
know.
taking?
I don't know much about either one of these teams. Give me the Chargers.
What do you know? Who would have thunk it?
The one Charger I got, it goes against them.
Yeah, seriously.
Jake brings up the freaking water boy for flex, and he says,
Mike Williams
God.
was the number 7 overall pick in his draft.
somebody needs to tell him that.
He knows.
I'm sure the doctors
Oh,
told him a
God.
time or two.
I'm gonna take the Chargers. Just because I think the Rams are gonna bounce back. All right, Brian.
Oh, LA bias, huh?
Yeah.
Chargers.
Chargers. Jake.
Chargers.
Okay.
Boys, I like that. I like to hear
That's
that.
about the only time I'm gonna pick the Chargers.
I know.
All right. So, lastly, in our matchup of the week, gentlemen, who have you got? Have you got Terd Sandwiches? Have you got victim of the system? Ryan,
Also,
start.
before we do that, since we talked on Monday when Jake had 4 Chargers, he added their defense again, so now he's got 5.
Oh, what y'all doing here? What y'all doing?
I don't have any Panthers.
I like the
Who lives
matchup.
closest to Jake?
I like the matchup.
Laughing boy over there.
Laughing boy. Ryan, victim of the system. Third somebody, who you got?
Woo, buddy. I'm going to go big in the system. I think those 2 wide receivers at the beginning have big weeks.
Victim of
Big
the
weeks.
system.
And
Taking
I said-
Brian.
And I said Kyler Murray's going to win his matchup too. So,
Okay.
but I hope the Chargers win. So go Chargers.
So you were kind of pulling for me.
I got your back, boys. I'm not saying I don't want you to win because I want your Chargers to do well, but I just feel like Brian's going to win. Come on, just win me a game so I can have a happy Sunday.
I'm going to take Brian as well, mainly based on the receivers. I took all 4 of his receivers over Jake's 4 receivers, and then the running back. Yeah, I'm going to take Brian. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I'm excited to see it. Could
I'm
definitely be wrong, but I'm going to take Brian gut feeling. It's up to you. Now it's on you to it.
I'm going to take Jake. Solely on, I picked, the times I picked Jake, those matchups I think are going to be pretty good sized gaps. So I think the Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray is going to be almost a wash. If A.J. Brown does what I said he should do, could do,
26-33.
and and keeps DeAndre Hopkins from not destroying it in that matchup, then yeah, Jake will win this week. I have Jake beat me by 11.
Oh, we're going to do that now.
Yeah.
I like that. Jake, who you
What's
take?
the
I
spread?
got a bunch of dudes coming off bye in my lineup. I always like guys coming up off bye in my lineup. It really doesn't matter if y'all watched my
What team's coming off bye, Jake?
well, Seattle and the Chargers.
Thank
And
you.
I got
And
a lot of guys
coming
in
up
that.
on
I
your
got a
lineup.
lot of guys in that game. So,
Sometimes you just get filled both fields.
but my receivers suck. JT was complaining about his. He doesn't know the pain.
No.
Other than Brown kind of emerging, my receivers have just been awful. And I don't feel good about it any week, much less this week where I don't like any of it. So I think Brian's going to beat me by, I could say 30 points at the receiver position.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying overall.
No, I think he'll beat me by 30 at the receiver position, and I'd have to try to make that up amongst my tight end, my running game, and defense.
Okay.
And I don't think with what's his name on by Taylor, I don't really have a chance.
All right, so Brian said you beat him by 11.
11.
You say Brian beat you by?
I'll go
Why this?
because
I'm
I
just curious.
yeah, I don't usually do good with this. I feel like I'll get like 111, and I think he might go with like 130. So I say he might beat me by close to 20.
19.
Yeah,
Math man.
I'll go 19.
I'm good with calculation.
I'll go 19.
You're not good with this, are you?
No, well,
It's going to be tough.
the whole season, in terms of consistency with scores, mine have been very close the whole year. Like, I have not gone high, and I haven't gone under 100 yet.
Well, I'm going to tell you this.
So
much.
now
You
that I
play me
said
this
that-
week, you're putting up 160.
That's
Well-
not true. That's not true. You said the same thing about me. I lost to you. Put up 126. Don't even start that. All right, gentlemen. Everybody have a good week. Good luck and
Good night.
good night.